Hello, fiends, and welcome to the Monster Party Podcast, now a part of the Fangoria Podcast Network. For more information about the network, including other programs, how to follow the show, and find past episodes of Monster Party, please visit Fangoria.com. And now, it's party time. Greetings, everyone, and welcome to yet another edition of
Monster Party.
Monster Party. Monster Party. Monster Party. Wow.
Yeah.
Man.
This is a good one.
Oh, boy.
This is a good one.
No, this is a good one.
No, we've been talking about this for a while.
We have, but before we get to how good this one is...
Yeah, who are you, sir?
I am Matt Weinhold.
I am Shawn Sheridan.
I'm Larry Stroth.
And I'm James GONIS.
And now we can get to how good this show is going to be, because it is going to be good, because we've got a great topic.
Yes, we do.
And that topic is when horror films go bad.
When horror films go bad.
You know what we're talking about, right?
When they just don't work.
Well, how
For
would you
whatever
explain?
reason,
Yeah.
for that it was directed badly, maybe it was a good idea, but it had bad direction,
Or the actors were bad.
or it fell apart at the end.
Studio interference.
But
Studio
somebody just left it in
interference.
the fridge too long and it started to smell.
Exactly.
Bad special effects.
Oh,
I
look-
like
look
that.
at
The
you.
poet over here.
And
okay.
I think we have someone really special
We have-
to guide us through
we
this.
do have someone very special. Talk about an old friend. Man, I have known this guy forever. We met at a comedy gig called Hornblowers in Ventura.
Hornblowers.
Yeah. And I think, did we get paid in like deep fried crab or something like that? Yeah.
Fish sticks and sorrow.
Exactly.
Sounds
But
great.
he's great. I mean, this is a guy who, I mean, if you're aware of Podfest, that is in L.A., and it's more places too, right? Or is it just L.A. at this point?
This is it. Yeah.
Okay, but you're going to branch it. It's going to be
Yes.
big. It's going to be international. And he also has a podcast with another great friend of mine, Graham Elwood, and he's got a podcast called The Comedy Film Nerds.
The comedy film nerds.
Yeah.
And who is he, sir?
This is, ladies and gentlemen, Chris Mancini.
Chris Mancini!
Thanks, guys. Great to be here.
Yeah.
Monster
Thank
Party.
you so much
Yeah.
thanks for making the scene,
Oh,
man.
happy to be here.
Yeah.
He's got his cocktail. He's ready to go.
I
Yeah,
am.
you're
I'm
natural.
good. Yes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And so, Chris, I mean, again, like we've known each other forever.
And you even work for Comedy Film Nerds. You
That's
do
right.
Some great articles.
Oh,
You-
no.
Articles.
Now that I did
Yes.
not
Yeah,
know,
I
Matt.
did some movie reviews.
Oh,
and,
my gosh.
And I'm in the book, the
Yes.
Comedy Film Nerds book, the Comedy
there's a
Film
book?
Nerds Guide to the Movies.
Oh, my gosh.
Featuring such people as Dave Anthony, Lord Corrett, Dean Haglin, Alan Havey, Mad Men, hello,
Wow.
Laura House, Jackie Cation, Susie Nakamura, Greg Proops, Mike Schmidt, Neil T. Weekly, and me.
Oh my gosh! Actually, you know this is
and
amazing. Matt, I didn't see this book. Matt,
Yeah.
for our listeners, Matt's got this book, and he's been hiding it. I didn't.
And
Look,
Matt, what is
that-
the genre that you talk
Yeah.
about?
Get
in the
this.
Matt does horror.
I do horror.
Oh my
Imagine
gosh!
that. Yeah.
Wow.
And
it's
there's
a great chapter too, if I may.
Oh,
it's
you.
it's
Come
fantastic
here.
because what we did is we made sure like each chapter was very personal to the writer, and
Right.
Matt goes through his entire childhood and how his brother would torture him, and
That's
how
right,
that
yeah.
led to like a love of horror movies. It's a great chapter.
Well, thank you, Chris.
Yeah,
And,
well, we've heard a lot of those
yeah.
stories,
And it's a great book all around. Chris has great articles. Graham, I mean, it's like if you love movies, this is the book. You
Yeah.
must pick this up.
And what's it called again, Matt?
The Comedy Film Nerds Guide to the Movies. And you can
By
find
Chris?
it. Yeah, Chris Mancini,
Mancini.
and Graham Elwood, and a cast of characters.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah, get
Great.
it on
Getting the-
Amazon.
Getting
All
the
right.
plugs out of the way up top. This is awesome.
No, we're gonna come back. We're gonna do another round.
No, I don't want to do.
Awesome.
No,
Oh, very
I
cool.
want to get to this.
Yeah, okay.
I want to get to this. When
But
horror
now-
films go bad.
So now, when horror films go bad, we thought. Now we were trying to come up with a fun topic, and then I get a hold of you, and you're a great writer, and you had this amazing, strange, frustrating experience with a horror film
Yes.
that went bad
And it exists
through no fault of your own.
No, and it exists, and it shouldn't. It's out there right now.
Wow, how about
Yeah.
that?
Oh my
Tell
God,
us.
Chris, please.
This is the movie you wrote?
This is a sort of. Yes.
Oh, come on!
It's
no,
already good.
No, you
This is
wrote.
already a
no,
good
you
story.
wrote this, right? You wrote this.
Here's I will just begin at the beginning.
Begin at the
because
beginning,
It's one of
please.
those stories that I've told it to people that have been in the business for a very long time, and they're like, I've heard a lot of stories. I haven't heard that one.
I can't wait.
This is I sold a script to a low budget horror company, After Dark Pictures. And
I've heard of them.
Yeah.
Yes.
So they bought it. It was called Asylum, and it's about a SWAT team who investigates demonic possession in an insane asylum.
Great. Everything
Like,
there, right?
Yeah,
concept.
That's a great
and
concept,
it was a straight horror. It had a couple quippy lines and some funny, like Buffy funny, but it was still straight horror.
Right.
And I made
horror played straight.
Yes, and I made it. I made it terrifying. I made it action. The way I set it up was it was going to be like a Session 9, but an action version of that.
Love Session.
Love Session 9.
So an
yeah.
action version of that creepiness, but also it has demonic
great.
possession and monsters and all sorts of stuff.
Everything we like.
And questioning faith, questioning your place in the universe, all that put together.
Cool.
So I saw the script and I said, well, one of the things is I want you guys to consider me to direct it because I really wanted to direct this movie. And they said, okay, we'll definitely we'll consider it. So I went in and did a giant presentation, storyboards. I brought in like all the people that I work with through independent film, great visual effects artists, all those things. And I don't hear from anything. A couple weeks later, they tell me, well, yeah, we're just going to
made
shoot
it.
We're just going to shoot it. Yeah, close. We're gonna shoot it in Bulgaria and just hire a Bulgarian director.
Great.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay, so I'm like, all right, I'm still going to get a movie made. It's still a credit. Still
You're on the map.
Right.
Yeah.
That's still a big deal.
Still
Yeah.
good. I remained optimistic through 3/4 of the process.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah. And so I don't hear anything for a while. And then this is actually, I hear that the movie is done. They release a trailer. And they had released a trailer just when you were coming over to do the podcast.
That's
and I showed
right.
it to you on the
Yes.
computer. I said, this is a horror movie that I made. And the trailer looks like a straight horror movie.
Yes,
It looks
looks
great.
really- It looks,
Yeah.
very
It looks
cool,
great.
Very intense.
It looks good. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, well, that's not what I would have shot, but it looks good and it's still going to be.
Well, it's subjective.
a
A director puts his own stamp on it.
Exactly.
Okay,
Right.
all right, but
Yeah.
it's still your
So
story.
I was cool. So I'm like, okay, fine. So then I don't hear anything for a while. And then the company calls me. And they said, we need to meet with you. I'm like,
boy.
why do you need to meet with me? And they're like, okay, we just need to meet with you. And then I've never had someone confirm a meeting with me 3 times on the same day before.
Really?
And that means either something went horribly wrong or there's a contract on your life and they're going to take you out when you get there. So that's the only time someone confirms a meeting 3 times.
Wow.
So I get there and they go, well, before I get there, they call me one last time and said, why don't we just meet at the bar down by the office? I'm like, that's...
Hell? Why don't we meet at the docks?
Yeah, now it's getting even more interesting. So they give me, they start buying me drinks, and then they said, here's what happened. The producer that took your script to Bulgaria went rogue, shot his own movie. It's unwatchable. There's not one page of your script in the movie, and we have nothing to deliver to Lionsgate. And then after that sunk in, they go to me, can you fix it for us?
Wait. So let me just. I just
that
want
even
to.
mean?
No. I just want to back up a second. So wait a minute. You're saying that the production company said, okay, this producer went out there into another country and he basically shot his own film.
Yes.
Kind of. Did they use anything loosely based on your stuff?
This was the most hilarious part. Basically, the concept, it was, a SWAT team goes into an insane asylum. That's where it ended. But they kept the character names. So it's all these American names being said by a bunch of Bulgarian actors that can't pronounce them.
No.
So it's
when they said
and it has Stephen Rea from The Crying Game in it.
Oh no. That's he's a
good,
great actor
yeah.
though.
He's a great actor,
but
yeah.
when they said they wanted
He
you
may
to
never
fix
act
it,
again after this movie.
Now it really is a crying game.
No, come on. No, he'll come back. I'm
So-
sure.
But Chris, when they said they wanted you to fix it, did they mean they wanted you to fix it like in post and edit it in a different way? Or?
No, they wanted basic ideas on how to salvage the movie because they have an output contract with Lionsgate.
Right,
They
right.
had to deliver a movie, and they had literally nothing. So they gave me the footage, and they said, it's so bad, maybe you could make it a comedy. And I was
Oh,
and I was like, so I took it home. I watched the footage. I almost threw up. And it wasn't even finished. It was like literally, like some of the scenes were like, effects shots missing, scene missing. Like, and even like there was stock footage that then they didn't want to pay for that then they pulled out. So it's literally, it's an unfinished mess that makes no sense. And so I said, look, there's only one way I can fix this. I make it a comedy, and I shoot wraparounds of behind the scenes at a low-budget horror company and show how they screw up a movie from start to finish.
There you go.
That's not a bad idea.
No, it's a great idea.
So I thought this is how I could save this and make it a cool, kind of quirky horror comedy. And I said, well, retitle it Death of a Horror Movie, so everyone knows what they're getting into. I'll have 2 editors watching the footage, making Mystery Science Theater comments through the whole horrible abomination. Right. And then we'll do
one of our good friends, Mike Schmidt.
Mike Schmidt, is one of the editors. And then I got our buddy Dean Haglund, was just in the X-Files.
Oh, Dean. He was been on the show, too.
And he's the crazy producer that makes all these horrible decisions. So I shot these and went down to Baton Rouge, and they don't want to pay for anything, and they're like, how am I going to fix this movie?
So they paid did they give you the bare minimum of we'll get you there?
Right. It was pretty much, and then for them to pay for Dean's hotel. Remember, this is Dean Haglund, a professional actor.
Yes.
I had to give up my rental car so they would pay for his hotel room.
Wow.
So that's what I was dealing with, and it was so ridiculous. And then I knew these tricks too of working in indie and low budget films. I asked for 4 days and 2 cameras because I knew I would get 2.5 days in 1 camera, and that's what happened. So I had to shoot everything in 2.5 days, including doing all the voiceover with Mike and the other editor, and I banged it out so quick because I knew exactly what I wanted to do.
Right.
I ended 2 hours early.
Wow.
So
if you had asked for 1 camera,
right?
What would they
would have given me an iPhone. Yeah. So we're shooting, and it's just one baffling thing after another. Dean is an amazing actor and a great improviser.
Yes.
So I had the scenes written out, and everything's going well. But Dean was improvising. But he's an expert and a professional.
Yes, he is.
The producers there didn't understand what he was doing. They just thought he was hilarious, and they told all the other actors behind my back for the second day, we love what Dean's doing. Just say whatever you want. Yeah, don't worry about this. Don't worry about what's on the page.
Yeah, because the script's not important. I guess.
Unbeknownst to you.
Yeah. So, and then one of the other actors just told me this is what they're saying, and I laughed. I'm like, we're almost done. It doesn't even matter. So, because when you do improv, there are certain rules that you follow. You have to make sure you serve the character, you serve the script, you serve the scene. You don't contradict something in another scene.
Right.
Dean makes it look effortless, but it's not actors saying whatever they want.
Right.
Right. I look, I've tried to do improv.
Right.
Yeah. I've learned that lesson the hard way.
So
he's not good at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was saying. Is that right? Jesus.
I don't,
Kick me when I'm down.
No.
So I set up the I shot all this footage. I put it together. I put a whole director's cut together. I reworked the entire movie. And, I was back in L.A., and the editor was still in Baton Rouge, so we were sending video back and forth, so it was taking forever. They had technical issues. They weren't getting me the footage. And then they were saying, well, no, you still need to have it done in 2 days. So I said, but I haven't seen any of the footage yet. Unless you're sending it with a time machine, it's not possible. So I put it together. I got a director's cut down, and I thought, you know what, this is okay. This is kind of like the right people will like this. It's a horror comedy. It's a Mystery Science Theater thing. Comedy fans will like it.
Okay.
It's good. So I'm like, all right. So then I don't hear from him again for a very long time. And then I hear from one of my fans, the fans of the show, that the movie got released. And I didn't even know. And
released, where?
On demand. On,
okay. So it wasn't
on
like
DVD.
Okay, so it was not a theatrical release.
Not a theatrical release.
But on Netflix or something like that?
Didn't get to Netflix.
No.
Yeah, probably will because of it. Because it is on Lionsgate.
Yeah.
But it's right now. It's on demand and on DVD. But they still kept it Asylum. They put a graphic on the cover that is not anywhere in the film. And they decided it was better to try to trick the horror fans into actually seeing it thinking it's a horror movie.
That pisses me off.
That's the worst bullshit possible.
No one was angrier about it than me, because then all of a sudden, you're getting all these bad reviews. Horror fans are furious, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
And the only balance to that was the people that knew the story, like Mike Schmidt fans, Dean's fans, and my fans that are giving it a bunch of high ratings and going, if you know the story, this movie is hilarious.
Right.
Because the other thing they did is they cut out half the jokes that Mike and these other guys were making. And I said, why did you cut out half the jokes? And they go, well, they didn't test well. And I said, first of all, I know you didn't pay for Dean's Hotel Room. You didn't pay for a focus audience.
Didn't test it when you didn't get the joke.
Yeah, when you showed it to an intern and didn't get it. Yeah,
right.
I get. Right. Yeah,
the missus doesn't care for your brand of comedy.
So instead of having crappy footage with a couple jokes that maybe only half the audience will get, now it's dead silence and dead air.
Oh,
like there's
my
one joke
God.
that I love that Mike Schmidt did. Like there's this big industrial scene. And Mike Schmidt's going, oh, is this Metropolis? And then he tags it with, Fritz Lang just turned over in his grave because I mentioned his film during this film.
Fantastic.
It's a great joke.
Joke.
That made me laugh.
That's a great
that
joke.
made me laugh.
Like, nope, not in the movie now. And then I even put like a disclaimer at the top, like like a found footage movie.
Right.
And in 2008 or whatever it was, Beyond Midnight Pictures, because we're making, sent their film crew to Bulgaria. We had to change. They wouldn't let me use Bulgaria.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
All of Bulgaria
Is gonna
threatened to sue.
Yeah. Oh, you can't do that to us.
Yes.
No.
Why? They're Japanese?
No, that's not a Jap. No, that was my Bulgarian impersonation.
Yeah, okay.
So I put this, to set up the tone of the film. This is, the footage that came back was horrifying, shocking, and disturbing. And then another card comes up. For all the wrong reasons.
Great.
They took out for all the wrong reasons.
No. Who are these clowns?
Chris,
Or they're not even clowns. They're like
It's amazing. So After Dark Films, they just decided that. So now this movie is like halfway to comedy, and the other half is just trying to trick horror fans into buying it. But
It's like it serves no one now.
and now it serves no one, exactly. And I said to just keep to this path. I'm telling you, this is what you'll do. Call it Death of a Horror Movie. People know what it is going in. So it's out. But now there's one silver lining to this.
Okay.
I had pretty good reps do the deal when they ruined it. And what happened was, for me to fix it, one of the deal terms was I get the rights to the original script back.
Oh.
So now I can actually make the movie properly.
Oh, nice.
Hey.
That's great.
Silver lining.
Yes.
Happy ending.
But it must be so great. You sell the script. It's a
I
horror
know.
movie. It's like, just everything says this is going to be fun.
Yeah, because
Right.
just to make
Exactly.
a movie,
It's like
movie and have it released, period, is like a miracle.
it's a huge
Could
undertaking.
you ever have imagined that it would go this route?
No.
Yeah.
Not in a million years. I always say that, I made lemonade twice, but they made lemons 3 times.
How does director? How was he able to kind of do all this on his own and do whatever he wanted? And
Is he big in Bulgaria?
Is he nobody kind of watch?
There are pieces of the story that I don't even have. Like literally, I don't know. I mean, you would think if you're a production company
Yes.
and you're spending $1 to $1.4 million,
It's a lot of money.
wouldn't you want to see dailies?
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
Wouldn't you want to see what your people are shooting, even if it is so far away in another country?
They followed Spielberg around on Jaws.
Now,
I
but Chris, now you start out by saying that the producer went to Bulgaria and made his own movie. Okay, right? Is that what you said? It was the producer.
It was one of the producers. Yeah,
Okay.
there was like a bunch of them.
Is he still alive? That's what I
I don't know.
What if it turned out he's like the Joel Schumacher of Bulgaria?
That would be hilarious. Yeah. He failed upward.
God.
Yeah, I know. Again, where are those jobs?
Chris,
right?
I really believe, though. I mean, I know sometimes Sean and Matt disagree with me on this, but I don't really think that people go out of their way to make a bad movie. I really don't think so. It takes so much time, energy, and effort that no one goes out of their way to make a suck film. Everyone
I
goes
used to
in.
believe that.
So, in your opinion, because I'm trying to deconstruct this in my mind,
Mm-hmm.
do you think that these guys, in their own misguided way, thought, well, I know what to do.
Yeah, like
this will make it better.
Yeah, because this,
Oh,
they're
for
thinking,
sure,
yeah.
for sure.
this
yeah.
script is okay, but
Yeah.
I know. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me like when you get married, okay, and you have
Uh-oh,
no,
here we go.
listen.
Every show.
When you get married and you actually go through the time and energy and effort to register at some place. And so every like a Macy,
store.
come on, Matt,
Yeah,
hey.
yeah,
And
okay.
then what happens is, so you tell all your friends this is where we're registered, and then some clown that you've invited goes, you know what? Here's this list of everything they registered for. You know what? I'm not going to go off this list. I'm going to get them something that's not on this list that they're really going to like.
Yeah, like a salt and pepper shaker.
And then you get it, and it's like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
This is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. It's like that.
Can I deconstruct this moment that just happened?
No, but you agree with me, right? You know what I'm talking about.
Kind of, but the fact that the example that you use
Yes.
is a registry of things like someone who loves you thinks, well, you know what? I'm going to get them something pure from my heart that's off the list. And you're like, I didn't get the thing I wanted on the list.
No, Matt, no, something completely, from their heart.
What did you? I want to know, what did you get?
You know what?
Tell me what you got.
I'm not.
What did you get?
I'm not going to discuss.
Tell me
that.
what you got.
That's not what this topic is about.
Like
this is
Elvis
about,
dildo or something?
This is,
or?
you know, why do you have to bring that up?
Monster Party, gravy boats.
This is when when horror films go bad, and this is an example. You know, everything.
It is.
He had everything.
No,
he
I
had
know.
the script. He had everything ready to go, and then some clowns decide.
There's good intentions there, but
Yeah.
When I watched that trailer when I was over your place, and it was just like, hey, all right, man, that's like the big time. And then I never in a million years would have.
No, me
but-
either.
but-
And turns out, and here's I found this out too, is the editors at After Dark actually were the ones putting the trailer together and adding their own effects. So it was literally a completely separate team put that trailer together than it was actually what was going on in Bulgaria.
Wow. Well, Chris, this is the question I really want to ask. Okay, so you worked on this script, you put your heart into it, and you were going to direct it. It was kind of taken away from you. They made this terrible film, but your name is still attached to it. Has this affected? Are people going, oh, you hear that film that Chris made? Oh, well, we don't want to hire him again. And so now you're doing like...
You know what's funny? It's when people see this movie, it's not the kind of movie where you go, oh, that just was terrible. It's the kind of movie you go, I want to know the story. How did this happen? And we've even had podcasters like in the UK like see the movie that are also fans of comedy film nerds and like start researching it and like I need to know how this was made.
It's almost like you could do a documentary on the making.
And it was the kind of thing where people that know us and know what happened in the movie, they just kind of love the story and see what's happened. I feel bad for the horror fan that's duped into watching it. Now the only thing I take a little bit of disagreement with is occasionally there's a message board post or a review that says this movie would have been great if it wasn't for the two people talking or the comedy parts in it. Let me just set the record straight right now. No, it would not have been. Let me put it this way. If After Dark thought it was unwatchable, it was unwatchable.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but on IMDb, don't you actually have 2 screenplay credits for it?
I do.
Yeah.
But I
it's
really
unusual.
only have one. I mean, they literally threw the first script away, so I only...
So you kind of have 3.
Yes. Yeah, so I take credit for the one. So, like I said, this movie exists. There is a movie in existence that shouldn't, that has myself, Mike Schmidt, Dean Haglund, the guy from The Crying Game, Stephen Rea, and a bunch of bald Bulgarian actors running around. And that movie does exist.
You're in good company.
Okay, but Chris, are you really telling our listeners, so check this out?
I say check it out.
No, because I'm one of those
I'm
horror fans that
fascinated.
No, Matt, no, I'd be pissed. See,
I'm totally fascinated by
Matt,
this now.
don't you know?
Now I'm
Listen,
Here's my exact answer to that. If you know the story, check it out.
okay, but this is the thing that what I hate is it's like you go to a movie. Oh, this sounds like a cool horror film, but see, for this, you need to know the backstory. You need to know the behind the scenes. I don't want to have to go through that. I mean, if I go see,
couldn't agree more.
if I'm going to go see a horror film, I'm going to.
wanna just
Chris,
for a
it
DVD.
sounds like no, Chris.
Right.
It sounds like I'm going. I watched like 10, 15 minutes ago. What the hell is this?
Right.
Why am I wasting my time watching this?
Why
piece
are you
of
mad
crap?
at him?
No,
I just told you a story of what happened.
No,
and you're already pissed off.
No,
at
because
it.
Matt, I'm just saying, don't you hate it if it's like if you are sold on a film, there's like some kind of great campaign or whatever that gets you in the movie theater. You pay your $15-$17, and you go there. And I've heard you have actually said, "I've gone to the theater,"
point
and
your finger
I'm
at
just
me.
saying, you've gone to a film, and then you get so pissed off, and you get up and you leave. I know you leave.
I do.
'Cause I know
do.
I've heard that. Now,
I
and
do.
for me,
What's fascinating is
Yeah.
you never generate audience goodwill by duping them.
yes,
True,
it's
right.
do not
Right.
dupe the audience.
It's so crazy.
Yeah,
that
I don't
story.
know why they would do that. Like, all right, well then...
And they didn't even do a thing of like, because I would think that if you were going to release something on DVD,
Yeah.
Why not hey, there's all kinds of extras.
Yes.
Do audio commentary
Yes.
with you
Yeah,
and Schmidt
totally.
and everybody
I
else.
offered to do all of that stuff.
Because then you get the crossover of horror film fans.
It would have been a cult classic.
Comedy
it really
fans.
would have.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah.
it would have been a cool comedy / horror. Yeah, cult
all the
classic.
cutout
Yeah.
jokes,
Yeah.
everything
Yep.
back in.
So the company's still in business even after.
No,
cranking
After
out-
Dark is
I don't think they're really around yet.
they're doing fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you wrote a script that you were proud enough
Yes.
to want to direct the thing.
Yes.
Then they ruin it. Then they ask you to fix it, and then they fuck that up.
Yep.
This is like one
is.
outrage after another. This is
Yeah,
like
it really is.
This is the ultimate nightmare screenwriter story.
It might be the first time the same studio has ruined the same movie twice.
Yeah. it's like waking up in the dream and you're still in the dream.
Yeah, exactly. And you're like, oh man, I'm
Yeah.
still asleep.
Did you ever at any point just say, fuck it, I'm walking away from this, I'm too pissed off? Because it sounds like you had a lot of zen to keep going through this.
I was going to walk away, and then when my rep said, "Look, we can get you the rights to your original script back," I said, "Yeah,
Right.
I'll
Yeah,
do
that's-
it."
yeah,
worth,
that's
that's
okay.
worth
And then,
hanging in there for.
Yeah, so then I hung in. But then I thought, after I turned in the director's cut, I'm like, this has some potential. If it's marketed properly and rebranded the way it was supposed to be, it'll be a fun, little cult classic.
Well, it's also a really
comedy
clever
movie.
way
Yeah.
to rework it and repurpose it. I think.
Yeah.
Now
that
look,
sounds great,
in this town though, this is not. It's
crazy
common.
town.
No, it is common. Well, we had.
Tell us what happens in this town.
No. No, we've had other people like on our podcast who've actually talked about, writing a certain script for a movie and then having another writer come in and kind of add certain things to it. It is a common thing where sometimes it goes to another writer or another. It takes like 3 or 4 writers.
And especially when it comes
sometimes.
to a big Hollywood movie, sometimes
Yes.
there's 45 different writers.
Yeah, and then it goes to the Writers Guild, and then they determine who gets the credit, no matter how many writers.
Right.
Yeah,
And
like-
I don't know how many I'm sure you've done Punch Up before.
Yeah.
You sit in a room and you sign that disclosure I will not try to get any credit.
Like we had Robert Zappia on who had done
Halloween H2O.
Yeah, and he actually told some great stories, and he was quite honest with us about some
About
stuff
how
that
difficult it
and
is,
how
yeah.
difficult, and he came up with some great ideas. But he also got other writers who added, because I asked him, "Oh, did you do this?" He goes, "No,
Well, there were so many drafts.
Yeah,
Or we
yeah.
had,
Right.
again, just to get a movie made, we had this guy named Jordan Rubin on.
Yeah, Jordan
who,
Rubin.
does,
wrote
Zombievers.
Zombievers.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
But,
yeah.
like,
yeah.
the stories
Bill
of
Burr is
just,
in that.
but just what it took to get that movie made. I mean,
Yeah.
even Zombievers. It was it's just like I said, it's a miracle that a movie
that anything gets made.
right.
Yeah.
that a script gets sold. There's an actual production, and the movie is shot, and then the thing is actually released.
Now, I will
then-
I will say this though about him though. I mean, he was able to take it through. They believed in him enough that
Jordan Rubin?
Jordan Rubin,
Yeah.
that he was able to
He got a
shoot it.
surprising amount of respect.
Yeah, he did,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
look, I'm not saying that it's like Gone with the Wind or anything, but it is it's
Oh, it's Gone with the Wind.
No, okay, for Sean it is. But
I
it's
like
a
it more than Gone with the Wind.
Look, okay, look,
It's
it's
the
a
Citizen
neat.
Kane of zombie
Okay,
demon movies.
look, it's a neat movie. I mean, and you can tell. Okay, it doesn't seem like it's a very expensive film, but he put in a lot of little neat things in there, and he did a really great job.
Now, here we have this perfect story of a horror movie that went wrong.
Yeah.
And of course, it begs the question: how many other movies that we've seen that we go, "Oh, that was
What
and
happened?
What happened?"
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like before we started recording, we were briefly talking about all the Alien movies,
Yeah, and I
the
was-
Alien sequels.
I was taking my third cocktail, and
yeah, and there was a brief little chat about Alien 3 and 4.
yes,
Right.
yes,
And Sean, you were saying that Alien 3 shouldn't have been an Alien movie.
Yeah, maybe if it wasn't part of the Alien franchise, you could look at it in a different way. And also, we're talking about the Alien franchise is a huge franchise with a huge movie studio, 20th Century Fox, with tons of money. So that's the thing. There's so many fingers in the
Right.
the pot in this, and I'm sure it went through so many
it
drafts.
did.
so
No,
many
I know
versions.
this, Sean. I know this.
We're talking about Alien 3 now.
Yeah, I'm talking about
Right.
Alien 3, and I remember there was this
this
wonderful
David
article.
Fincher?
Yes,
David Fincher, yes,
David
David
Fincher
Fincher.
was not the original director for the third one.
Right,
Okay,
right.
it went through. There
Wasn't
were
this one of his first big films?
Yes,
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 yeah,
yes,
yeah.
it was. And unfortunately, I mean, for a fan of Alien and Aliens, you kind of feel like, you're on this planet for aliens and you have this big battle, I thought in my mind that my God, Alien 3, it's going to be the aliens on Earth. It's going to be even bigger. I was
Very good
expecting,
point.
I was expecting something bigger. And my understanding is the script for 3 went through many different changes. One idea was it was going to take place on this religious planet. Another thing was it was going to take place on a prison planet. And kind of what happened is they kind of merged the two together. And I'm like, well, it was so freaking frustrating.
Well, you got to remember that what made it a franchise was the first sequel, James Cameron, which nobody had any idea it was going to be that great. And what made it that great is it's a survival story.
It's a different movie than the first one.
Yeah, it's a survival story, but it's also what they did. You can't make Alien again because Alien is a gothic science fiction horror movie.
And it is great. It is so great.
So this was more action adventure, but the whole thrust of it. I mean, you have Ripley, you have Newt, you have the Michael Biehn character.
Oh my gosh.
They all
fighting for their lives,
and they make it. And what does Alien 3
Spoiler
do from
alert.
the outset? They kill Newt. They kill. It's like, what the fuck?
Yes,
and it was totally unnecessary, James. Totally
and
unnecessary.
the whole mood of that movie is just so. It's such a downer.
It's a buzzkill.
Yeah, it really is a buzzkill.
Now, I will say this: if you're going to make a depressing film, I'm okay with that. That's okay.
But it needs to be. As
like
Sean said, a different movie.
Like Watership Down or something. If it's a down, I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Rabbits killing each other.
Yeah. No, but I'm just saying.
It's the Watership Down of Alien movies.
But you know what I'm saying? And it's like
kind of.
That's okay. But the way they treated it. It was so. It was so.
Here's what happened in a nutshell. And what you have is
Go ahead, Chris.
It's the
lay it on me.
It's the Fantastic Four syndrome, where you have people who don't understand the property.
Yes.
And what they do is
they
just don't understand it. They don't know what to do with it. They don't understand how beloved the second one was. Why would you kill off those characters to begin with?
Right.
Why would you scale down everything?
It was a much smaller budget, right?
So you just have people meddling like, well, I don't really understand what this is. Oh well, let's make a movie. Like I remember, Fantastic Four. What's that? 3 times now? They can't get it right.
No.
Wow.
Wow.
Come on.
It's a great property too.
Yeah, let's make Galactus a cloud. Even better.
Exactly. Right. I've always argued, by the way, you know what they should do? They should make a Jack Kirby Fantastic Four movie. Make it retro, make it Jack Kirby designs.
Oh yeah, like in the 60s or 70s.
Guardians of the Galaxy amazing. You can't handle Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
And it
Really?
brings me back to these people with these in charge of these intellectual properties that don't understand them. I remember because they always do interviews like, why did it fail?
Yeah.
And then there's a producer that always says something stupid like, well, it's a hard property. No, it's a hard property for you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I remember the latest Conan movie that came out?
Oh, yeah.
That was a complete disaster.
Right,
It had nothing to. Why even put the word Conan on it?
Right.
And then that producer said, I guess there wasn't enough brand equity in the franchise.
Yeah.
Like, no, you made a horrible film.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
You used the terms brand equity.
Yeah.
That's why it failed.
Yeah. That's me. God, no one wants to admit that they made a bad movie.
That's true. Well, you have to understand. I mean, the big thing in Hollywood is if you are a big time producer, it's always someone else's fault.
Yeah.
And then
because
you
there's so much
always
money
rise above it, and so you can always pass the buck.
They hide behind marketing instead of quality.
Yeah, maybe a good example would be something like John Carter. John Carter on Mars, maybe. I remember the whole campaign, and the movie itself is actually a pretty cool
not a bad
film.
movie.
I love John Carter.
And
It's really good.
it's on all the time on network
I think it's a-
television.
I think it's a great movie.
It's a good film.
This is a neat film. I'm going to watch it. But talk about total bomb.
They did not know what to do with it.
They didn't know what to do with it.
They took out Of Mars
Yeah.
from
Yes.
the fucking
Of
title.
Mars is the thing that makes your kid want to go to it.
I think they took out Warlord too.
Yeah, no, that helps.
Warlord of Mars.
Warlord of
Just
Mars.
John Carter. That's great.
Yeah.
He's an accountant.
Why don't we
now.
just call the movie Steve?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I do know what I mean. That was the movie cost so much money for Disney when they did that, and a ton of people got axed, including one of the head gal in charge of production. I think
Isn't it weird, though?
It was
And-
such a
and
weird
she was-
thing where you almost think like it was deliberate. Like they,
No,
they,
no,
How did they miss
It was a
that
weird,
bad?
No,
like it
Chris.
Was, I think not deliberate in
Go ahead.
the way they made the movie. The way it was
Like
deliberate,
tax shelter kind of
No.
thing? Or?
No.
because of the way the marketing was so mishandled. Like
Yeah.
you
It
realize,
really
like,
was.
well, what do you
Yeah.
like? They were predicting it to be a bomb. before it came out.
Yeah,
So
I know.
when you look
Well-
at stuff like that, I'm like, wait, what are you guys doing? You need to at least support the movie before it comes out.
Yeah.
They started
Okay.
messing with the title,
Yeah.
and I agree. I thought the movie was decent. It wasn't amazing,
but it was fun.
It's really
you know,
enjoyable.
I think- I
especially if
think
you would
it's-
go in expecting it to be
Yeah.
a
Yeah,
giant
yeah.
piece of shit. It's,
Yeah.
And I
pretty
thought
good.
the science fiction of it, I thought was so cool and so interesting. And the source material is really fun
Yeah.
too.
yeah, and very Edgar Rice Burroughs.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. The two leads were a little off-putting in their perfect beautiness.
I actually didn't mind the perfect
Yeah.
beautiness.
It was like
That's almost
you
like
you
a-
wanted a troll? Is that what you wanted up
No,
there? I mean,
it was a little. It was almost like, well, now I have to look away. That I'm almost blinded by the.
You'll turn to stone if you look too long.
I know.
It was, that was part of the big spectacle. As
Well,
well.
let me
Yeah.
let me tell you something. Along
But it-
those lines, that woman who also was in charge of. Remember, there was the Sorcerer's Apprentice with Nicolas Cage, and the ad campaign was the coolest job you'll ever have. They messed up on a lot of marketing campaigns. It wasn't just John Carter.
That
at
was a
Mars.
giant bomb too,
But-
right?
Yeah, huge.
But
huge.
that one, for some reason, John Carter got the most blame.
That's
Yes,
because
you're right, you're right.
because it costs so much money.
Right.
It costs so much money, and one of the excuses was, well, at the same time you had this cool hip film called Hunger Games coming out, and who wants to see John Carter, which is it was written back in like 1907 or something,
But it was almost as if Disney wrote it off before it was even released. And when a movie actually gets bad advance buzz from its own studio,
Yeah.
it's like,
Right,
what?
that
But,
was
see,
unusual.
look, I totally disagree with you that they're going to spend over $200-something million on
maybe-
something that they know is
But
going to be
maybe
bad.
there's some
That's
like
ridiculous,
weird. Maybe there's
James.
some
Well,
weird
they have a budget
X-Files
for it.
conspiracy about it that we just don't know
Wow,
about.
I like this.
Wait, what's that?
Maybe there's some weird X-Files conspiracy.
No,
about the
no,
whole
no. There's
thing.
no conspiracy.
I think the Freemasons are behind.
Okay, now we're getting into ridiculous
Okay,
talk.
but so, folks, let me just put this out there. We've gone now beyond just horror films.
I'm sorry. When
So-
horror
sure.
films go
So
bad.
I think we're also going to be
Genre.
we're going to include some sci-fi,
fantasy, possibly. Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
But
sure.
is that okay? Is that
no,
because,
it's
because
totally
I
fine.
do
It's
I do
totally
have
fine.
another
It's totally
one. I
fine.
do, okay.
No, we'll get to
I'm
it.
ready
But,
to go into some hard.
well, hold on. Let me. But before we move on from Alien,
Yes.
I want to talk briefly just about Alien 4.
Oh, please. No, please.
Resurrection.
Please, Matt. Yeah.
Because before that movie came out, I read the original script from Joss Whedon, who is pretty good at the writing
I've
thing.
heard of that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
He's written a few things
yeah,
before
and
that, right?
Yeah, a couple. He made a little noise.
Okay.
So I read this thing, and I'm like, this is going to be great.
Okay.
And then you go and you see the movie, and it's the delicatessen guys from France
Right.
coming in.
And made it really gooey.
Yeah, they made I didn't even know what the fuck. Again, it was like, who is this movie for?
Right,
And the only saving grace was Sigourney Weaver.
Oh,
as
she's
Ripley.
She's really
Come
good.
on.
Well, the saving grace for me was that it wasn't the letdown that Alien 3 was.
It had
look.
it had a little more life to it
Yes,
than Alien
yes.
I
3.
felt like it was an
Yes.
apology
agree.
a
But
little
But
bit.
it was
for
very.
Alien 3.
It was kind of scattershot though to me. And also, I thought it had.
But aren't we still waiting for a full Alien apology?
Yeah, big time. Yeah, big time.
Yeah, really.
I would love that.
Yes.
Yeah, where's the Force Awakens of that?
Right.
You know?
Well, it's coming, isn't it? There's a new one coming.
Well,
out?
but that's also Ridley Scott, right?
No.
Who gave us Prometheus, which was like someone bent me over,
Okay.
shat in my mouth,
Yes. Okay.
and duct taped my lips closed.
Now, look. In fairness, he is an amazing filmmaker.
Was.
no, Matt, no,
Was.
Matt.
He's a good director.
He's an
but
excellent.
If he's given a shitty script, he
guys,
doesn't know what to do.
No.
he's an. You guys, he's an
Commercials.
excellent. Look,
to
listen,
Geico.
Shut up. Listen, shut your face for a second. He is a great director.
Oh, bringing that one back, huh?
Look, Matt, I hate it when you slam someone down when actually it's like you think it's easy to direct, and he's done so much great stuff.
Yes, I do.
You know, he's done so much great stuff, Matt. And yes, you know what? Let's be honest. I hated Prometheus. I was pissed off.
Don't you think he's kind of past his
No,
heyday?
I do not. Look. This is what I'm going
Who
to say.
directed The Martian?
Really?
Yeah, Ridley Scott. Hey,
Yeah,
take
'cause-
that,
'cause
clown.
that's a great movie,
It is
too.
a great movie.
No,
it is.
it's not.
Oh, Matt, it's a great
No,
movie.
it's not.
Yes, it is.
No,
yes, it is.
sorry,
Yes, it is.
no,
Yes, it
no.
is.
I'm not
saying it's a
It's nominated for an
masterpiece,
Academy
but it's-
Award.
So what does that mean?
It's a great film.
What the fuck does that mean?
It's a great film, and there's great stuff in that. And I'm just going to say that watching that film, watching The Martian I enjoyed it. It was scientific. It was,
you know what?
And you know what? I'm just getting back to Prometheus.
like all Ridley Scott movies, it looks beautiful.
Yes.
Every time it goes back to Earth, it is like someone stabbing me in the head
no,
with a knife.
no.
Every time they try to attempt comedy, it is horrible.
Okay,
Please, Chris,
no.
right?
Before no.
You know what? I liked the movie.
Stick like that in your face.
Would you
sorry,
lean
but
towards the Mars part is better than the other part?
Don't
Now,
try to
I will-
force it.
I will
He's
say,
admitting.
though-
He's admitting.
I
He
will
liked
say,
it.
I did. I enjoyed the film. I did feel some of the comedy was forced.
Thank
I'll
you.
give you
All
that.
right.
However,
yeah.
I still really enjoyed the film.
All right.
The young guy.
I didn't hate it.
The young
Okay.
genius
I
guy.
didn't hate it.
Who was like tripping all over, and that guy was bad. I thought.
Oh, terrible.
Okay,
I agree with that.
Okay.
but I still think it's a good.
Okay.
film.
I liked it, but what I'm saying is that like that movie is not in the same league as his golden era. Blade Runner. I mean,
Yeah.
Thelma and Louise is fucking better than that movie.
You know, for you comedy geniuses, okay, I
Yeah.
understand that you guys
Sean
did-
and I.
Yes, I understand that you guys did not like the comedy. I and my wife, who came with me, we enjoyed it.
Oh,
so
that's nice.
we like the. I just don't want you to rap.
Hey.
Give it a bad rap.
I've got this can of peanuts. Maybe you should open it.
Okay, but look, you're getting away from the point. The
All right.
point is, I just want to say that Ridley Scott is a great director, and I am not a fan. I am
Yes.
not a fan of Prometheus. It looks great,
Yes,
and
it
we've
does.
talked about this. We have this episode called
Right.
"I Can't Believe You Liked It,"
Yes.
and we go.
And we're not gonna go down that road again. Yeah.
No. But let's come on. Let's
Prometheus is the perfect movie for this topic too, because it's one of those movies we all wanted to like.
Oh, yeah.
And it had such great potential. And the thing about it that really pissed me off about the movie is everything that I didn't like about it could have been fixed by like a couple of rewrites.
Right.
Yeah,
Like
totally.
it really.
It's like they just rushed the
I feel that on so many movies too.
It could have been cleaned up so nicely.
Maybe they
And,
could have done a remake and called it, the comedy behind the scenes of Prometheus. And you could have helped him with that.
I would have. You could have
Yeah,
saved that movie.
I totally could have.
Yeah.
It would have been more entertaining.
So we've talked about the Alien series. We've talked about Prometheus ad infinitum, right?
Yeah, I guess you got to get back to some horror.
You were just saying you want to talk
Chris?
about horror.
Yes.
Give me a horror title of a movie, a horror movie that went wrong.
Yeah.
Could be past, present,
Yes.
anything.
It's actually a really recent one, and I think part of the things that helped make it go wrong was that I had unrealistically high expectations for it.
Okay.
All right, let's hear it.
It was Krampus. The one.
I haven't seen it, and I
we
really
haven't seen
wanted
it.
to see
Yeah,
it.
I was so excited to see this movie. I thought
Me
this is going
too.
to be a really cool horror comedy. And I'm watching this movie, and I'm like, okay, first of all, the stuff in the trailer isn't even in the movie. So-
I hate that.
Yeah, and it was one
Shades
of those
of the
things-
Asylum.
Yeah, it was. Well, at least the same.
The After Dark
characters
people
were in
did
the
it?
movie. Yeah, at least we had the same characters, so that was a little
Okay,
better.
that's good.
But like, if you remember the trailer, like when they're arguing over
Yes.
dinner, like,
Yes.
lines dry. Do you want to trade? Funny line, sets up the comedy of everything. Not in the movie.
Not in the
Not in the
movie?
movie. And the movie didn't understand like what tone it needed to take. It started off like, was this going to be kind of satirical and then horrifying, and like, where are we going to go? And it went all over the map. It was like satirical, then really terrifying. Like my daughter really wanted to see it.
How old's your daughter?
She at the time was 10. She's 11 now. So I said, you know what? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I had one of the other writers, Neil, saw it, and he said no. And I'm like, you know what? Let me preview it. And the horror parts are really horrifying,
Yeah.
and really disturbing, and.
That's a
It
shame.
couldn't. So I just told my daughter you can't see it, but it was one of those movies where I really wanted it to be a home run. I wanted it to get.
me too.
I
Yeah,
wanted
yeah.
it. I wanted it to get that tone right. And it's not an easy thing.
And
to
tone
balance
is
horror and
so-
comedy.
tone is
It
so
could have been the horror
important.
film you see every Christmas.
Right, and
you
that's
know,
what
I was
where I
looking
wanted
for
it to
that.
be.
I
Yeah.
wanted that to.
That's where I wanted
yeah.
it to be, and it just missed the mark. So
Oh, that is a shame.
Yeah.
It's funny. Like I forgot about that movie, and I was like, okay, I'm going to wait till it comes out on video, and oh, that's a shame. That's bad news.
Now, do you think that was because there are just too many cooks in the kitchen trying to get it right? I mean,
Well, now that one's a little more difficult to decipher what went wrong there. Was
Right.
it like, was it the filmmaker didn't quite get the tone right? Was it studio meddling? Was it
Right.
last minute script punch ups? Was it in the editing room the tone shifted?
You know,
There's so
maybe
many
maybe the
choices.
director had this was everything that he wanted. You know, it could have been,
Right.
oh, this is perfect. This is my Citizen Kane of
Not including
horror.
the comedy parts, the funny comedy parts. That's so weird.
Yeah, it was really weird because it's you had a really lot of funny people in it.
Yeah.
And you also had like a lot of cool, scary imagery, and it just didn't hit that sweet spot at all. It
That is
missed
such
the
a
mark.
shame.
Good marketing, though. Speaking of marketing.
No, it made.
You know,
You
We all wanted to see it.
But I bet you're still going to see it though, Matt.
I will.
believe
I
you are.
probably will,
see it
and
too.
I'll probably come away with the same. I could
no,
because
you-
I've heard the scuttlebutt
Yeah.
was that exact review.
But
which
you know,
is-
but Chris is like he's like Mr. Pro guy. You know, yeah, it's like
He is.
you know
That's
maybe
how-
for you, you know, the expectations have been raised, and maybe you're going to go and you're going to watch it and go, you know, it's not so bad.
Oh, all right.
you know?
The village idiot, the simpleton.
I'm just you know.
Ooh, there's lots of colors.
Okay. All right. Go ahead and do the stupid voice. Go ahead.
All right. Well, all right, Larry or James. What do you got?
Yeah. Why don't you say something?
I'm going to take you guys back to 1943.
Oh wow!
fuck. I
Hey, old
remember that
timer.
year.
And
Yeah.
this is not a horror film gone bad necessarily. It's just a horror film gone different. And it's Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman.
Whoa.
Where in the original
Interesting.
script, the Frankenstein monster, played by Bela Lugosi,
Yes.
had dialogue.
That's right.
That's true. You're right.
Yes.
When
A lot of it.
when it was screened, they laughed at it. So
That's right.
Who's
That's
they? Who's
the,
they?
the people in the
test
studio.
audience,
Studio
or-
executives.
And wasn't he also the monster
And
supposed to be
crew
blind?
and everybody that they get,
Yeah.
everybody laughed. And the more that he spoke, the more they
The
laughed.
more they laughed.
Really?
So all the dialogue scenes with Bela Lugosi as the Frankenstein monster were cut out. But it made a certain continuity sense because Igor's brain was in the monster.
Yeah.
So it made sense that he would kind of speak with Bela Lugosi's voice by
Yeah.
then.
Right.
He was also blind, which made sense that the monster was stumbling around. So
Yeah.
you take
Right.
all that, you take the dialogue out and kind of the backstory out, and some of what Lugosi was doing as the Frankenstein monster didn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Right.
Does it make it a worse movie that they cut out the dialogue? Probably not. I still love the movie. It's one of my favorite of the franchise.
It's your favorite? One of your favorites?
It is. It's
I
one of
love
my favorites
Frankenstein
too.
Meets the Wolfman. I love it. Yeah,
It's first of all, it's just beautiful to look at.
Yeah.
Like all the sets and scenery and the
I don't remember
direction.
though. Now, does the Wolfman speak?
Well, when he's Larry
when he's-
Talbot,
yeah.
Talbot.
which
When
is
he's human.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it's
But
when
he's not, it's not like the Groovy Ghoulies when
right.
he's the
Oh please!
when he's the Wolfman.
Oh, please. Yeah, no.
apparently there was
gonna kick Frankenstein's ass.
there was even a scene apparently with some humor where Talbot was telling the monster, explain to him what
That's right.
happens when the moon is full and he turns into a wolfman, and the Frankenstein monster goes to him. You're kidding me. Like, can you imagine? Like,
But they put that. I heard they put that line because I just reread the book "It's Alive."
yeah.
It was a great book
Gregory Mank.
about all the Frankenstein, especially the Universal Frankenstein
Yeah.
movies. And that line was put in by Siad Mack to be purposely funny.
that's one movie I wish that cut footage was still available and they
Yeah,
could reinsert
really.
it just to see how it.
I wonder if somebody has that in a vault somewhere.
No,
gone.
that's destroyed.
Yeah,
no,
probably don't
not
hold on to
something-
that
no,
stuff.
no,
Yeah.
not back in the
Not back then,
factory
no,
in the
no.
in the
Right.
film factory.
Too bad though, because there's so many things. There's there's the dialogue that
Yeah.
they cut out, and
Well, someone on the internet needs to recreate that footage
I
immediately.
know we got to do that at Largo.
Do a fan
you know?
cut.
Yeah, exactly.
Get Martin Landau.
Yeah. But not only that, but with Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman, they also had a lot of trouble just with Lugosi as Frankenstein
Yeah.
because he was old.
He is
and
he is admittedly not the best Frankenstein
Yeah.
monster. He's short.
he hated
Yeah,
the role
yeah.
anyway, so
Yeah.
he never thought from the very beginning when they first approached him to play Frankenstein's monster in the first film before they got Karloff. He always thought that the Frankenstein monster was just some sort of lumbering idiot.
Well, because
and that's how he plays
Well,
him.
because he when he had done Dracula, he's this elegant guy, and he has all this great
Sure,
dialogue with his great voice. And when he was offered the Frankenstein monster character part, he's all, "There's no dialogue. There's no
no
lines."
dialogue, right.
And so I can understand when you've reached this pinnacle, Matt, after all these years, and it's like, and now you want me to step down and play this monster, and it's so sad. It's
a sad
sad.
It is sad. It is.
Because
It is sad.
I, as much as I love Lugosi, and I really, really do, he was miscast, and I know
He was miscast,
The only
yes.
reason why they put him in, it's like, well, he's part of that whole monster thing.
And he
Right,
took
right.
the job because he needed work.
He needed the
yeah.
work, and
Right.
the thing
And
that
this
gets
was
me.
before Ed Wood too. Right?
Yeah,
Oh,
way before that. And the thing that bugs me about it is it's so funny, James. I didn't know you were going to bring that up, and at first I was upset at you. I was upset that you brought that up.
No, that's a
but
good
then,
one.
But no. But then I realized you're right, James, because when I saw it as a kid, it's almost like in the posters where you see the Wolfman and Frankenstein at each other's throat. I had this vision of this really intense battle, and when you get to the end, it's not the battle that you expected, you know?
But yet another thing that they had to fix in that movie was that because Lugosi was so old,
he couldn't be
they
physical.
So they got a stuntman.
Yeah.
yeah.
And
They got a stuntman to do all that stuff.
But I wish, but part of me though, Matt, I feel like when I watched that scene, and I've actually showed that scene to my daughter. You know, we were talking about Wolfman, Frankenstein fighting. When you watch the scene, it looks like they did it maybe in about 4 hours. They filmed it. Look, maybe I'm wrong. It's not like a fight that they spent 5 days on.
No, but still, that movie though, it is kind of quintessential 40s Universal horror. Like Matt, you're right. It looks great. It has all the familiar sets. So many.
Cheney's great.
Yeah,
And it's the first team up. It's the first time they tried teaming up the
Yeah.
the music and everything. It really is kind of like quintessential golden
it
age
was,
Universal.
it was a crossover movie, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Absolutely.
take two big franchises and put them together.
Okay.
And
They
was
were-
that the first time they had ever done that?
I want to say it was.
for the Universal monsters?
At least for
Might-
Universal
might have been.
Mon-
Or even
Okay.
like, yeah.
Okay, so James, I will agree with you.
It's more-
It's a really interesting choice.
It's an interesting choice.
It's more of a what if.
But you know, it's
Right,
funny. Like you, I still love it. Maybe not as much as
I love it,
like
yeah.
House of Frankenstein
Yeah, me too.
or even Son of Frankenstein. I mean, it's not my favorite, but I do enjoy it. And maybe it's because it's something that reminds me of when I was younger, watching those classic films on television
Yeah,
or something.
so much nostalgia wrapped up in
Yeah.
it.
Totally.
There is a film that made me so angry.
Oh,
Go.
It made me so
You
pissed.
angry?
do tell.
Yes, can you believe it?
No.
Don't you hate it, listeners out there, when you are sold on a film? You know, you see a great preview. I mean, a great preview, and it's flashy, and it's flashy, and there's excitement. It looks like there's nothing but nonstop action, and it's not horror. I'm sorry, man, it's not. But it is in the realm of
Okay.
science fiction.
Yeah, no, we're
okay.
okay with that.
Working Girl?
No, no,
Okay.
Mr. Smartass.
All right, all right.
I
What do you
take
got?
you back to 1993, Super Mario Brothers. now let me tell you. Now this is directed by
And you
Rocky
expected that
Morton.
to be good.
No, and this was the guy who directed it. He's like a co-creator of like Max Headroom, and there was Annabelle Jankel, who was also she was a music video director. It's like it seemed like these two or in the music video world, and hey, they're going to make this fast-paced, action, flashy film, you know, starring Bob Hoskins, John Leguizamo was
Yeah.
in it,
Dennis Hopper.
Dennis Hopper was in
Yep.
it, and even has there's a narrator, the guy who plays Homer Simpson, Dan
Castellano.
yeah, and
Now,
it seems
but
like
to be clear, though, this isn't the Lou Albano Mario on the TV.
No,
This
is the
a different-
movie, the
budget
feature
movie.
film.
You know that.
And let me tell you
that horror film.
Yeah, no, come on, come on. It's in the realm of it's kind of science fiction. It's
It has
genre.
dinosaur
But come on, it
people
has
in it.
dinosaur monsters in it, Matt.
All right,
But
okay.
here's the
Yeah.
thing, Matt.
Giant
I
mushrooms.
remember-
I remember-
mushrooms, man.
No, that's scary as shit.
Listen, if you YouTube the preview for this, it's flashy. It's like, oh my god, it sells the film. Like you want to see that. Guess when I saw this? Back in 1993, when I went to the Famous Monsters Convention in Virginia, you know, I saw it. What happened was I had a great time at the Monster Convention. We had some time left over. It was in the evening, and my buddy and I said, you know what? There's that flashy film, you know, Super Mario Bros.
He didn't say that.
Let's go check it out.
say that.
No, come on.
He said flashy.
You know what I mean.
Larry,
you know?
there's a movie with a lot of pizzazz in it.
You know,
playing at the Bijou.
Listen. No,
Let's get on the trolley,
Yeah.
put on our hi-hats, and go down to the
Okay.
well.
Maybe
All
first
right.
get a malted at the drugstore.
Go ahead, do another joke. Go ahead. Get it out of your system. Get it out.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, so we took this cab, you know, I forget how many miles it was to get to this damn theater to see this film, and we sat there, and my God, when it started, it was like Snoozeville. It was the worst film. I felt duped. Within 20 minutes, Chris, I was angry. I was angry. Now, I know what you're going to say. Like, Matt would get up and walk. No. I thought to myself, you know what, Chris? Maybe there's something in here that I can learn. I can learn something that maybe it's going to get better. Maybe it's going to have a good ending. And Chris, I sat there for the entire film. My buddy and I sat there for the entire film. And at the end of the film, when the credits rolled, we felt so stupid. We felt we were duped. And I don't think I've ever been so angry.
Now, can I just throw in here?
Yeah.
You did go see a movie based on a video game.
Yeah.
Were you a fan of the game?
Yeah.
It's not like a video game like Myst or something like that.
No.
This is like little Italian men jumping around in overalls.
Matt, but see, you're looking at the video game. If you saw the preview, you would go, wow, that looks pretty cool.
Can I offer? This is something.
This
Actually,
is like Nintendo's Tron.
Go ahead, Matt. Go ahead.
which is another one that's kind of anyway. But I recently was looking at articles on the interwebs, and there was something about movies that you should re-examine.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And that was one of them.
Yes.
I have never
No.
seen it, so I'm
Yeah.
asking you as someone who saw it.
Yeah.
Have you seen it recently? Because maybe it would...
Recently?
Yeah,
Why would
maybe-
I want to waste 2 hours of my life?
Maybe it would affect you
Now
differently.
listen to me. Well, see,
Because I've had that happen with myself.
It's interesting. This again, not really delving into horror, but the reboot of Speed Racer. Now, see, and what they did is they had the Wachowski brothers, the
Matrix people.
the Matrix,
Yes.
and Matrix I love, but this film, Speed Racer, it's like, whoa, what the hell is going on?
That's a good one to bring up because I could see what they were trying to go for in that.
Yeah, but it's like,
That's to have visual effects artists punch you in the eye.
and Matt, I'd
For
be
2
afraid.
hours.
I'd be
For 2
afraid as the
hours,
Super
yeah.
Mario Brothers. Look, there were some monsters. There's some dinosaur things. That was kind of cool.
The Kyoto Brothers, I think.
Yes, they did, but it was.
Why do
like,
you hate the Kyoto Brothers?
I don't hate the Kyoto Brothers. I actually love that. It's like there's another film that I could talk about.
All right, why don't I wait your turn?
No, I'm just saying that Greg Nicotero worked on. Not this film, but a different film with some special effects. And Greg Nicotero, I love his stuff. But
All right.
sometimes
Okay.
you hire people,
All right.
really good people, to do something for your movie.
And scene. Okay. Sean.
Okay. Talk about like duping the audience. But I think this is more of a case where a successful director allowed to do what he wants, and people just let him alone to do it, and it doesn't turn out too good. I'm talking about the 2004 The Village.
Oh, Sean.
Well,
Sean.
you're going to get no argument.
Yeah, I know.
Sean.
But I mean, by M. Night Shyamalan, he's notorious for making some bad movies.
But we didn't entirely know that by then.
That's
or
true.
at that
That's
time.
true.
Sure, we did.
No,
Sure we
Chris.
did.
Maybe you're right.
No, Chris.
I really like.
I'm
I
lying to
really
myself.
I really like Sixth Sense, though.
As
I
do
thought
what
that
I.
was really
The
good.
devil said to M. Night, I'll let you keep making movies, but you have to put me in one.
Right.
But it has to be the worst of all of them.
And it has to have an
I don't know what
elevator.
your point
Even after
is. What-
Signs, you were still willing to give
Well,
it a
Oh
no,
my
no,
God,
you're right.
that one.
No,
You're
no,
right.
no.
Signs was bad too, though.
They're all
the
terrible.
Village, but the Village. At least when I first saw it, I found the movie compelling and what was going
Yeah,
on. It was.
I'm with Sean.
Listen for a second.
Okay.
It was well acted. It was well produced. It had a really interesting, compelling concept, I thought, and I wanted to see where they're going to go with it. And then it was a complete, total ripoff when
You
you,
got
find
to
out
the
what
end.
it is. I think everybody knows what the hell this movie is, but it's this kind of like Pennsylvania village that's kind of blocked off from the rest of the world, and they're not allowed to go past the boundaries of this village
Because they're wealthy. They're wealthy people. They bought all the land, and they want to raise all their children in like a place without computers,
uncorrupted
without- yeah.
from like
Yeah.
society and stuff. So, and they're saying that there's these creatures that are on the outskirts of this village. So you cannot ever leave the village. You have to stay in here and keep this kind of.
There's certain times at night when the creature will
Right,
come in, and
right.
we have to go to your house.
But then,
and-
like some of the characters want to go, they want to get medical aid for somebody, and so they start exploring outside, and it's like this kind of cheesy Twilight Zone kind of twist
Yes.
ending where it's like, oh, this was an experiment by a bunch of people wanting to kind of like isolate all these people and not tell them, that in reality it's all kind of like this enclosed experiment where they're just trying to keep them from the rest of the world so that they don't learn.
Now, let's back up on the marketing on this.
Yeah. All right,
here we
also,
go.
Because
Yeah.
if you remember, it was marketed as a creepy horror movie.
yes,
Yes.
So you went in thinking, well, this is going to be, a creepy.
I did.
Monsters
I
and-
did.
Yeah.
It's going to be, violent and weird and
Right.
And after about 30 minutes, you're like, well, this is none of those things.
Well, but wait a minute. But Chris,
was
there
still
is
kinda with it,
Chris.
though, for a little
Chris,
bit
in
until
defense,
the end.
there is a really cool moment when it's like, okay, they're saying we can't go out past the border. There are these creatures that live out there, and then all of a sudden at night, you hear these creatures, and everyone has to run inside. And there was a moment when they're looking through the crack of a door or something, and you see a bit of this monster,
Yes.
or creature, and there's a cape and a claw. And to me,
Oh, no,
I'm getting
no,
chills just
he
talking
was-
about.
he
No,
was-
it was
yeah.
so cool. I thought, oh, this is going to be great. I've got a big payoff
he
coming
could
up.
direct some good, effective set pieces. Absolutely,
right.
but
And after that scene, it jumped the night.
yeah, yes, but that's the example where to me it was just a ripoff. And
Yeah.
I will say this: my most entertaining memory of watching that movie in a absolutely packed theater. That scene,
Yeah.
when you saw the creature and
Yes.
something, there was somebody in the front row that got absolutely terrified and yelled out, "Oh shit!" And I remember that. I'm like, that's really cool.
Yeah, that is great,
Because
yeah.
when you're
Maybe it was the actor who played that.
but to do such a finely crafted setup
Yeah.
and then to have it kind of just like a slap in the face. I think that was the movie that for me finally did it for me for Shyamalan. It was like, if you're going to do this every fucking movie,
It wasn't Lady in the Water.
well, that was after.
No,
I think it was
that one's beyond understanding.
That wasn't the one that turned you. It was the Village. It wasn't.
Or Signs.
Signs was the one for me. Signs was the one where I was like, I'm done.
6 more after that.
Yeah, but
Well, now wait a minute. Hold on now. So I wasn't sure if I was going to bring this one up, but because you brought up The Village, I am now going to bring up, I think it's the most recent film that M. Night Shyamalan has made.
Okay.
And it's a movie called The Visit.
I have not seen this yet.
No,
And,
because I'm done, Matt. I'm done.
Well, here's the
I'm
thing.
just saying.
Now, here's the
He said
thing.
to you.
So
Yeah,
I have a friend.
yes.
I have a friend working at Playboy.
Okay.
This guy he has turned me on to so many movies. See this one, see that one. And I'm
Okay.
like, wow, you have really great taste.
Okay.
And so he kept saying to me, see The Visit. See The Visit.
Right.
I'm telling you, I know it's M. Night Shyamalan, but I think you're going to like it. It's really good.
Okay.
And so I like, oh,
You bit
I
the
don't know,
bullet.
I don't know. And finally, you know,
Okay.
Carrie, my wife, and I were like, he said it was good. Like, all right, let's do it. So we get it from Amazon. We're watching this thing, and it's the perfect example of a great idea, a great story. And the story is there are these 2 kids. The mother is estranged from her parents. And so she sends the kids to visit the grandparents.
Okay.
So they go meet the grandparents, and the grandparents seem initially kind of cool. Nana and Pop.
Yeah.
And but you get little elements of things that are like, oh, they're a little strange. And one of the first things that happens, they say something like, well, don't go out of your room after 9:30.
Okay.
And so, of course, they go out of the room after 9:30, and they
Right.
see grandma like walking around the house all weird, and all of a sudden she just vomits like all this puke.
Wow.
And every morning the next day, there's an excuse. Like Pop says, well, yeah, she had food poisoning. It's nothing, you know.
Right,
And then the next night, she's naked and running around the house. And then they go to this place where Pop goes in the daytime, this little like farmhouse, and they go there and they find like just this heap of used diapers. Like, So it's like all this strange shit. But before you get to that, and this is where he loses me. First of all, it's a found footage film.
Oh, really?
Well, wait, it's a found.
It's a found footage film because the little girl is decided she's going to be a movie director. She's going to make a documentary.
Okay, you've already lost
And so
me
she's
there.
already this precocious little girl who speaks in filmmaker terms all the time. You're like, no, that little girl doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, right.
And the kid brother is this little white kid who wants to be a rapper. And guess what he does
Oh my God! Really?
forever
What?
throughout the movie?
What's he do?
He raps. He does his little stupid raps. So there's all this comedy that's put in before you even get to the grandparents going crazy. Now, when you get to the grandparents are genius. There's Deanna Dunagan, who is Nana, and Peter McRobbie, who's Pop. They are geniuses.
Okay, so they're great.
They're scary, weird,
Right.
and when it's revolving all around that little story,
Yeah.
it's great.
Okay.
It's whenever they try to put in this, hey, I know, we'll make this funny too. No, don't make it funny.
Right.
Don't make these kids cute and precocious.
And does M. Night have
Make
an
them terrified.
extended
Yes.
cameo?
Yeah.
I don't. If he does, I didn't remember it.
Okay,
But
okay.
So you're not recommending this, and you're saying as a film that
what I'm
gone-
saying is it went wrong.
Okay.
It went wrong. And then
Every
it
fucking movie
it has
goes
3
wrong, though.
different endings. It has
Yeah.
like they have to tack on like 3 different happy endings at the end.
Okay.
And if I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure it ends with the kid rapping again.
Okay.
And so by that
Why
point,
wouldn't it?
Yeah, for the soundtrack alone, right?
Yeah.
Why do studios? Why do they let him make movies?
Because he's
still?
an auteur.
Maybe-
and they
But
think
like-
he's
but
going to
we're-
deliver another Sixth Sense. But it sounds like the budget
It's
for this
been
was like
12
nothing.
movies.
It had to have been nothing,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I'm surprised if it even.
I think he funded this one himself.
I wouldn't doubt that.
I don't
and
know.
I don't think it
I don't
ever
know.
played in the theater. If it did, it was very
Oh, it was in the
limited
yeah, no,
run,
I think
right?
that was
Limited
no.
run, yeah.
Matt, I remember when it did come out, and it's kind of like what Sean said after The Village. Sean, I was done. I don't
too,
care.
yeah.
I don't
Well,
care.
I saw Signs too. I don't know if that was
You-
first or after.
It's
but,
like you.
It
has to have some kind of great critical review that, oh my god, this is mind blowing. But he's pissed me off.
I know.
He pissed me off so
I
much.
agree.
And it's not like he doesn't have like you just mentioned the old people. It's not like he doesn't have good actors in his films. I mean,
Yeah,
he's
he
had
always gets
even in the
great
And
Village. there were
he's
some great
capable
actors.
of creating, like I said, during the weird moments in this movie when the kids peek out of the room after 9:30, and you're like, okay, what bizarre bullshit are these old people going to be doing now? And that stuff's great.
Yeah.
He
Right.
does know how to do it. I like what happened to that brain that made The Sixth Sense,
Sixth Sense, which
and
was
even
great.
Unbreakable, which I enjoy.
I liked Unbreakable until the very end. I don't think he knew what to do with the ending.
It goes
he
on
didn't
way
know what
too
to do.
long,
Yeah.
but I still
Well, I
do
like the
enjoy that
idea
movie.
of it, yeah.
I still think that's a good movie.
All right.
But I agree.
Okay, so we've got like a classic horror film. We've got like a '90s flashy film. We got a couple of Shyamalan films. All right, my friend.
All right,
Chris.
you're next up.
Oh, I had Krampus.
Yeah.
we go again?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
another one?
No, what do you think? We're done?
I didn't-
Come on.
we got another 4
This
hours.
is Monster Party.
It's only been 3 hours. I wasn't sure. Yeah.
It hasn't been 3 hours.
You know what? I was thinking of this. I think went wrong in a weird way. I'm going to go back to Blair Witch.
Wait a minute.
Now, I really liked Blair Witch.
The first.
The first one.
Okay,
The first
I'm
one.
with you
Now-
there. I'm with you.
Now, Blair Witch 2 was such a failure that it bankrupted the entire studio.
Which
I did not
Which
know
is
this.
mind-boggling,
Yeah.
isn't
I did
it?
not
They
know
made
this.
so
And,
much money off the first one.
But the first movie, what I found really interesting about it is I liked the movie. I liked the marketing campaign. It
Yeah.
made a ton of money. But it was one of those fluky things where a lot of the people that did see the film didn't like it. And it was because they thought there'd be more gore, there'd be more action. and
There
all
was
that
so much
stuff.
hype.
There was so much
Yeah.
hype about it, but it wasn't. It was this tiny little horror movie with
Yeah.
a very low budget, but it had a really creepy, unsettling tone
Yes.
and vibe. And it stayed with me for days, the way it
Yeah.
was.
I agree.
Me too.
I agree
Me too.
completely.
But a lot of people dismissed it like, it wasn't enough gore. They didn't really even understand.
The shaky
And-
camera.
Yeah, so it was getting nauseous. So
This is like the first one of its kind.
yeah,
You know.
and although there's other filmmakers that claim that they made the first one called The
Oh.
Jersey Devil.
Oh,
And-
come
in New
on.
Jersey.
When was the
But,
last broadcast?
But I
Remember
think
that
that
one?
was it. I think that was.
Oh, is that right?
That was
Yeah,
the-
yeah.
When they
Oh,
went
that
to go
was
see
it?
the Jersey
Oh,
Devil.
okay,
Yeah,
okay,
I
yeah.
think that was the official title.
Yeah.
So I think this one went wrong in trying to become a franchise. Like when you have a Blair Witch 2, you should have gone in a different direction.
Yeah.
Like you either make it more meta, like almost like postmodern. Like I pictured like Blair Witch 2, where you up the budget and you up the stakes, and you've got like Bill Paxton as a camera crew going out into the woods like with this cocky attitude. Trying
Sure,
to find
I like
this
that.
witch.
Yeah.
Because you can't go anywhere else. Instead they made the same movie again when all these people didn't like the first one, and it was the wrong direction to go to. And they sunk all this money into it, and I'm like, no, Blair Witch 2, you could do whatever you want with it.
Exactly.
You
Exactly.
Really,
Right,
you
right.
could, and you went and completely. Instead, you tried to play it safe, which is the exact wrong direction that,
Right.
that you went to. So, I think this was kind of like when you look at like a Paranormal Activity. This could have had 2 or 3 movies in it if they were done properly.
Right.
But I think after the first one, which I did like, it went south very quickly and went in the wrong direction.
Yeah. When it comes to Blair Witch, what's so interesting about that film and the people that are up in arms against it, I feel bad for them that they didn't see it in the way that I saw it.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I was given a VHS.
Yeah.
Right. That was part of the
Yes.
marketing
Yeah.
campaign. Yeah.
And
a
like-
very viral marketing
And,
campaign.
yeah, Dana Gould
Yes.
gave this to me and said, just watch it. What is it?
Right.
Just watch it.
Right.
And
great, yeah.
so, like, I don't know anything about this. And that's the type of movie, Blair Witch is the type of movie that is better on a small screen.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's an intimate movie.
Yes.
I mean, it was so groundbreaking in a way of like a found footage movie that, it was also, there was some like, well, is it real? Isn't it?
Exactly,
did we really
right.
find
You
this?
That was me.
Really
was
well
this,
acted.
was
too.
this really found footage?
Right,
Yeah.
Because
right.
there was no hint of any recognizable actor
Yeah.
in it. Or
Their
anything. Yeah.
names are the real names.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when you're
All really
paying
good.
to see a movie like that in a theater, it does sort of take away that immediacy. Where on home video, it just seems like it's more logical. Yeah, this is something.
Like, how
would
did I
be
even
watching.
get this?
Yeah.
You
Right.
know?
And Chris,
Yeah.
Chris, what you were saying too, like I do know a lot of people who saw the original Blair Witch way after, not right away, and they were disappointed because there was so much hype.
Right.
Exactly.
And, like
yeah.
you're bound to be disappointed because it's not. The movie is not about finding a monster in the woods. It's about the terror that these kids are going.
Of the
it's about
unraveling.
the unknown
That's
too.
what it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know.
Sean, the unknown. You don't know what's out there, what's doing
Right,
these
right.
things.
I would argue that the better sequel is if anybody who has the DVD, they also did, I think it was for Sci-Fi maybe.
Yes.
The Blair Witch Experience, or what was it called? But it was like a
Legacy.
documentary.
Yeah, it was like one of those like
a faux documentary
shows. Yeah, you would
about
see.
the Blair Witch.
like a paranormal,
Right.
Yeah, almost like In
investigation
Search
show.
of, kind
Right,
of. Yeah.
right.
And it was really
See, that would have been a better way to go.
And it's really
Yeah.
well done. If
Yeah,
you've
yeah.
never seen this,
No,
you
no,
should
no,
see
no,
this.
no. But it's like for Blair Witch 2, it almost sounds like that's the way they should have gone.
Right.
Curse of the Blair Witch.
The
Curse
Blair
of the
Witch
Blair
has
Witch,
already
thank
been
you.
out there. The video's already out there. Do a thing where you have Bill Paxton, whatever, doing we're following up on this mystery, and then you could go in however you want to go.
Yep.
Not
you could
retelling.
make it, this cocky film crew, and then they start getting killed, and then all of a sudden their cell phones stop working, and then the horror comes in. It could have been a really
and
fun
then
sequel.
you bring in the witch. That's what I mean.
Yes,
see,
of
that's.
course.
Can you imagine how cool that would
Played
have
by
been?
Cheryl Ladd.
No.
That would have been cool.
Cher. Hey, yeah, that would have been something.
So I think there were many different ways to go for Blair Witch 2, and they chose none of them.
Yeah, that's a very, very interesting choice.
Chris, you think about that, Mr. Screenplay Writer.
Yes.
You think about that.
Why do you hate him?
No, I don't. I love. I
Why are you
know.
already mocking him?
I'm not mocking him. He's a talented, skilled writer.
I would love to write a Blair Witch sequel. I think that'd be really
All
fun.
right, I'll get the meeting.
Yes,
You heard it here
Set up.
first.
Clearly, no one has the rights right now.
All right,
All right,
James.
Well, I'm going to take you guys back again.
Again?
Ooh.
And this is not a single film, but more it's a trend in distribution going back to the 50s,
Okay.
where American distributors didn't think that the public, so soon after World War II, would buy Japanese language movies. So all the Japanese monster movies like Godzilla and that whole franchise had to be dubbed, which is fine.
Okay.
But they also saw the wisdom in having to Americanize them with actors
That's right.
like Raymond Burr in Godzilla, which didn't necessarily make it that bad of a movie. Miraculously, it's actually okay with Raymond Burr.
Yeah. No, it
Yeah,
works.
I'm not sure where you're going
It totally
with this,
works.
but go
No,
ahead.
I'm
Go ahead.
fascinated.
I'm not, but I'm. Just
Well,
go ahead.
again, it's more of a trend because now most of these movies are available in their original Japanese language, and there is a kind of a lot of people tend to put down the Americanized versions, and I think it's a little bit unfair. But one movie that sticks out in particular is King Kong versus Godzilla, which was tampered with a lot. They changed the music. Universal
Yes.
put in music from Creature from the
stock-
Black
stock
Lagoon,
music,
stock
right.
music.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
And
And the ending.
Well,
Yeah, to
uh,
keep it right, ambiguous.
yes, the ending is the stuff of legend. I've never done a scene-by-scene comparison, but I don't know that the endings are that different. I think that it is still kind of, Kong wades into the water after Godzilla supposedly drowns underneath the sea.
He doesn't drown,
Well,
James.
supposedly.
He lives underwater.
But
he can breathe
He
under.
can breathe, but at the end of that movie, you don't know that. And,
No, you see bubbles coming up, James.
Okay, no.
But that could also be drowning,
No, no.
bubbles come up when you're drowning.
But Matt,
Listen,
I'm just
listen,
saying.
James,
The-
explain though to
The
listeners.
popular misconception is that Kong wins, and in
No.
the American version, Kong wins, and then the Japanese version, Godzilla wins, and that's
No.
a total
It's a-
falsity, which I think a lot of our listeners already know.
It's a myth.
Run us through the story of King Kong versus Godzilla.
Well, in the beginning, there's the earth, and there are more things in heaven and earth.
Wow, you're good.
There are some really great little character touches and some great sort of sardonic jabs at commercialism in the Japanese version one. But the fact of the matter is that for all the tampering,
So the editing wasn't tampered at all at the end? Where
No.
it make it ambiguous?
No.
So
Yeah,
the
if
ending
people
is
thought
exactly
that.
the
If I
same?
could
it
just
was a popular misconception.
if I could just butt in, because
butt
my
in.
understanding
Because I have
is
heard that.
August Ragon, a famous Japanese,
historian.
yes, who knows everything about Godzilla and King Kong. It's actually pointed out there is actually an article in a classic Famous Monsters magazine issue where Forey Ackerman makes the claim. He says, well, and there were two versions. In the American version, King Kong wins, and in the Japanese version, Godzilla wins. But that's a myth. Forey wrote that, but that's not true.
Right.
And what happens is, for our listeners, you have this battle between these two titans, and they are kind of in death grips, and they kind of roll off this cliff, and they fall off this big cliff into the ocean. And everyone comes to say, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? And you see giant bubbles coming up, and then you do see King Kong kind of rise up, and he's swimming off into the sunset. And then they look down, and you continue to see bubbles going up, and then credits.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're drowning, Matt, you don't keep making bubbles come up. To me, it's like
if you're drowning for a long time, you do.
No, see, it's like we brought this.
He's a monster. He has a lot of air in his lungs.
I brought this up on our Godzilla podcast, and it's you know what? Godzilla didn't care. He didn't care, and when he's down the water,
he didn't care.
He didn't care.
That's a new one.
No, I brought this up before.
It. I just,
he doesn't. No, he doesn't care. And what happens is he's under the water. If he's fighting with King Kong,
the humans blow themselves up with nuclear
King Kong,
energy.
Listen, King Kong swims away, and Godzilla, he's still down below in the water. He goes, I'm gonna kind of rest down here and kind of sell things up, and that's why you see.
He's my next door neighbor.
I don't know how it's.
Godzuki and go back to Japan.
No. But I don't see how that's when horror films go bad though. I mean,
well, maybe not strictly go bad because again, I think
you're talking about the American print.
The American print, which changed the Japanese version a lot.
Yes,
but I guess my point is, even though these movies were heavily tampered with and dubbed, often badly, they didn't actually fare that badly.
Well, also, James, it wasn't King Kong versus Godzilla the highest grossing Godzilla film at the time, maybe still, I mean, comparatively.
Now, did they change the title from Godzilla versus King Kong to King Kong versus Godzilla?
Good
the American
question.
version?
I don't remember.
I'm
not sure about that.
I think it is King Kong versus Godzilla in America.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe the real disgrace is a movie that wasn't that great to begin with, but Varan the Unbelievable, where they felt like they had to put American actor Myron Healy in there.
Okay, see, now you're talking.
Well,
okay,
that
I mean, pick on that instead of Godzilla and King Kong.
The Japanese version of Varan still isn't a great movie, but it's better than the Americanized version.
I don't know, a monstrous flying squirrel?
Varan was actually made for television. At the time, Toho was making color kaiju movies, but Varan was still black and white because they were making it for television. You look at it now, and it kind of shows. It doesn't have the same quality that Rodan had or Mothra. But I will go to Godzilla 84, or The Return of Godzilla, and the way it was Americanized.
It's also called Godzilla 85.
Well, the way it was Americanized, Godzilla 85, they put Raymond Burbeck in, which I actually thought was a stroke of genius.
Yeah, I did too.
I loved that part of it.
Yeah, I liked it.
And again, to be fair, even the Japanese version ain't that much better.
It's way slow.
Yeah, but it's still somewhat better.
See, you know,
I'm not picking on a particular movie, but more a trend in the way that Japanese movies were distributed here in the U.S. That's all.
Well, our topic isn't the trend,
but I think there is
trends of films go bad.
Among purists, of which there are many, and I count myself as one. There is a decades-long debate about which versions are better, and that the Japanese versions are so much better than the American.
Okay.
I would argue that it's a debate worth having, but that it's not necessarily always the case that the Japanese versions are automatically better.
All right. Well, maybe we can do that on our next Godzilla podcast.
I'm on topic here, man.
Well,
Mr. Mario Brothers.
Yeah. Well, hey, if we're gonna talk about horror films gone wrong, I'm
the Music Man.
No, yes, it has ghosts in it, Matt. Did you know that?
That's a story.
I'm going to take you back not too far to 1997.
Wow, it was a long time ago.
And this film actually is a monster type film, and I was actually really excited about it because I was a fan of a snake film called
Great movie.
Great movie. But there was a film coming out, and it was going to be done with this new computer technology where these snakes are going to come out at you, and it was Anaconda from 1997, directed by. Do you remember this?
I do.
Oh,
I remember John Voight doing a crazy accent.
Oh my God!
Yes.
Well, that's what I was going to. You have John Voight, Academy Award-winning actor. Now you have the hot Jennifer Lopez. You got the cool Ice Cube and Eric Stoltz and Owen Wilson. You've got a pretty good cast, and I can see it. Chris. It's like the marketing people, and they're look at this cast, and you've got these cool hip people, and then we got John Voight to give it some.
This
really,
is a prestige horror movie.
Oh my
that's how it was
God!
marketed.
Horror, and I'm wondering, it's like they got the cast. I don't know if anyone read the script. Number one. I think they all just got signed. It's like, oh yeah, it's going to be this spooky. It's going to be this snake film where these giant snakes are jumping out at you, and so it's like they're going. The group of people and scientists are going into the Amazon area to find.
This movie is what destroyed his relationship with Angelina Jolie.
Yes, it is. It is.
How?
His accent.
His accent is so. He I don't know. I'm not even sure what nationality he's supposed to be. But he's.
I think they just let.
What was the country that your movie was made in?
It's a Bulgarian accent. Yeah, it was.
No, but he plays this guy with this accent. He's like this famous snake Amazon guy,
he just like went overboard like this.
Oh
they
my
just let him. They just let him go crazy.
And
with
there's
the
a
role,
point
you know.
where you think you've heard there was a which channel was going to do this thing where there was this guy who's going to be swallowed by a giant anaconda and they're going to film it. And so remember they went around the Amazon trying to find this anaconda. So you're watching the whole damn program for an hour and it never really happens. Well, in this film it happens. Okay,
That's my favorite part.
and yes, but what happens? The result of it, Matt, it's so incredibly stupid.
Yes,
it's
yes,
like,
it is.
It's like when John Voight. Spoiler alert: if you guys want to go out and watch it, and I'm not going to recommend it, but if you guys go out and do see it, there's this scene where he actually allows himself to be swallowed by a snake. Okay, and it's like, oh my god, okay,
That's so hot.
that's the end, and he's able to cut his way out of it. And then there's a scene where he's like stands up and he winks. He winks or
he
something.
winks inside the snake.
It was so. It made me. I was angry. And I said, I can't. First of all, got to see it for free, which was great. So I didn't feel that angry, but I was really angry.
To me,
at that
movie,
moment.
the worst crime of that movie is just the really bad CGI effects.
Yeah, and that was the other thing, Sean.
It took me out of it so quickly.
It's like the snake.
Everything
didn't
about
seem
that movie screamed sequel.
They did.
It sounds like a neat idea. The Amazon, these giant anaconda snakes, and the cast seemed like, look, you got some pretty good casts in here, but it was just
Over the top characters. Everything you would see in like a B horror
Yes,
movie.
yeah.
But
right.
see, I love some of these classic B movies. This is not something
It didn't work.
I know it didn't work.
It
But-
wanted to be a good B movie.
on the line of like CGI stuff that doesn't work.
Yeah.
And this is just a side note, but another movie that I'm not a big fan of is World War Z. And World
the
War
Brad Pitt
Yeah,
film,
yeah.
right?
And I think it was on your podcast where you had the guy,
pointing
the
to Chris.
zombie defense guy.
Yes.
Matt Moak. But he told a story. You know, there's that scene where all the zombies are climbing over the wall.
Yeah, it's a
Remember
wall.
that?
It's a- yeah.
And they're like jumping on top of
Yes,
each other and all
yes,
that.
yes.
That I believe he said that in the original draft, one of the producers
It wanted it to be a hand.
wanted
Yeah.
the zombies to form a hand.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, unbelievable.
Because they could do it.
Right.
Because CGI allowed them to do it.
Right.
CGI has allowed a lot of bullshit to
Yes.
enter our world.
I agree.
Yep. Just because you can do it doesn't mean you should.
Yeah.
Right,
right,
exactly.
Well, speaking of CGI in films that don't always work or just isn't necessary, a same movie that just doesn't work because there's no need for it
Okay.
is 2011's The Thing.
Yeah,
I agree. Totally agree. On my list. On my list. On my list.
Sean,
This was a prequel to John Carpenter's The Thing.
and it's
And
Could have been great.
could have been
Yeah.
great, but it was unnecessary. Instead of kind of doing something really different with what happened before the Carpenter's film, they kind of redid in a way.
Yes.
They kind
Yeah.
of, kind
Pale
instead they
imitations
kind
of the original.
imitated the, and it was. I remember like before the movie was coming out, they were saying, "Oh, there's gonna be lots of practical effects and
Yeah.
stuff." And
No.
no, not really.
A lot of practical effects in the PR material.
And again, I mean, I think probably people had good intentions. I
Yeah,
mean,
I think
everybody
so,
was
Sean.
trying.
Yeah.
It was that kind of thing where they're going off the brand name of this movie that has become a cult classic.
Yes.
And Carpenter's The Thing is talk about the opposite of this subject. His Thing is a perfect movie.
It's so great.
Yeah, no, it's in my top
It's so
favorite,
great.
top
It's so
10
great.
favorite films.
And
of
let me
all
just
time.
say, Sean, I was interested in knowing the story of before.
I was
okay.
Well, I was too, but like,
And
there is the stigma though of like, well, you know, everybody's going to die,
Right.
So, but nothing stood out. Nothing like
There were no
grabbed
moments.
You know, it's-
no moments. It was just kind of, you know, it had a pretty decent budget.
Yeah.
they were trying, but it was unnecessary. And the worst thing a horror film can do like is for you to walk out and be just kind of like, eh.
Right,
You know,
no.
like even if you were to hate it and like
Yeah.
It was
like,
dull.
It was just
It was
yeah,
just
it was
dull.
It was just
You know,
unnecessary.
No, nothing ever shocked me in the original thing.
Just put together.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
just like
Yeah,
let's
yeah.
just felt real lackluster.
Yeah.
Like not a lot of passion was involved making this movie. And like, you know, you go back to the original thing when
Right.
they're doing the autopsy and all of a sudden, you know,
yeah.
A stomach turns into a mouth
Yeah. Right.
and bites someone's arms off.
There
Now
was-
that's
yeah.
original,
Yeah, you
something
don't
you've
see
never
that
seen
all the time.
before.
Yes.
And there was nothing like that in that prequel.
You know, guys, I'm
Yeah.
not going to argue with you. I see your point, Sean and Matt. I do see your point, and it's I'm not going to say I hated it, Sean. I did like it, maybe partially because I did want to know the story of what happened first.
Sure.
But, I got to be honest. Yes, you guys bring up some good points.
And you know what also, though?
Yeah.
There were so many disposable characters in there.
Yes.
Whereas in the original, you had a handful of characters, all of them so memorable.
Everyone distinctive.
Yeah.
It wasn't
I
a
mean,
cast of red shirts.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, do you remember?
Exactly.
Do you remember
Nice one.
Yeah,
do you remember anything about any of the?
No.
No,
Nothing.
well, the
Actors
girl
in the original?
the girl, the main character girl. I
Lisa,
liked,
Alice,
no,
Victoria.
no, but
Yeah,
but
it's like
And
it's just
there was one nice touch about that it could replicate a human, but not the fillings in the teeth. I mean, that was
And the
just
earrings,
one
yeah,
tiny,
One tiny
that's
thing.
it, yeah.
So look, Sean, I mean, as far as like when horror films go bad, would you say what I'm wondering is the pitch for this is like, look, the thing with John Carpenter's, it didn't do well at first, but it has a cult. It's
Yeah,
a cult
it since
classic. There's
became
so
this,
many
yeah.
fans. This is our way to tap into that. And
Well,
they didn't.
I think they were trying to do two things. Wrongly, they were trying to kind of like have their cake and eat it too, which was let's make a prequel, but also for the young kids and stuff, let's kind of just remake the original
Yeah.
too, so it's not too different.
And let's not worry about writing too much.
No,
That's
Sean,
hard.
the one thing I do, the one thing I will agree with you on this is I don't like how they just call it The Thing.
Right.
I think it's
Right,
disrespectful to John Carpenter's Thing.
Right.
I mean, you couldn't
The
come
thingy.
yeah.
or something else. And I don't know what
Something else. I like that.
yeah.
Look,
Yeah,
I
it
don't
was
know
just-
I don't know what the answer is. I'm not any kind of marketing whiz, but I think so calling it The Thing.
But it didn't do well either. It was
No,
not a hit.
it
Yeah.
didn't.
People-
And
it's
the
like-
funny thing is, it's not a cult classic like Carpenter's is.
Right. I mean,
say.
yeah. Right.
All right, here we go. This one's going to piss everybody off.
Oh,
Good.
Let's
'Cause-
see. Go ahead.
As you all know, I kind of generally despise J.J. Abrams.
Yes, I know that. I know that.
Most of what he does is awful.
Most.
Well,
There's some good stuff.
Most of
Well-
it. Lost is a clusterfuck of bullshit.
There are people that will disagree with you.
Fringe.
Fringe is the
good.
only thing that I've ever liked, which I'll bet he had very little to do with. I'm just guessing.
Maybe.
But okay, so here's one that I really don't care for, and I talk about a movie I wanted to like. You always say that, you get chills when you see a scene.
Yes,
I
Matt.
got chills watching the trailer for this film.
Okay, lay it on me,
Cloverfield.
buddy.
Cloverfield.
Oh, Matt.
It was almost a
Cloverfield.
guessing game. Like, I know he's going to bring up Cloverfield.
Yeah. No, without a doubt.
Found footage movie.
Found footage movie.
Great
Now,
idea.
I am a fan of found footage
Me too,
movies.
me too.
I love them. If they're done right, all the paranormal activities except for like 4, I didn't even see 5, but if you do it right, I'm way on board. But this movie, everything is so contrived of why they're still filming. And then my least favorite thing ever in a movie is clever dialogue. The movie is full of clever dialogue.
People who just don't talk
Hey,
that
I'm
way.
saying something clever now, and I'm going to say something else clever. And even though my life is in danger, still more clever. And it's just such a written movie, and I hate that.
I will admit though, I did like all the monster stuff.
The monster stuff is great, and that's a horror movie that went bad because when all the monster stuff
Yeah.
was fantastic.
Yeah.
And I'm watching this movie and I'm thinking, I want to see the good version of this.
Yeah, Matt, don't you feel like what
wanna
if it
see
was
Altman do
no?
this.
What if it was Cloverfield without like found footage? Why not make the movie without found footage?
I think it would have been fun.
That's
You're
the
right,
thing
yeah.
that
I
gets-
agree with you.
Do you? I know
There's a
you've
lot
heard.
of cool monster stuff
Yeah.
in that movie.
Well, I know you've
Yeah.
heard this. I've heard of some people leaving the theater because the whole shaky camera was just way too much. There was a lot of that. I've heard some people said I can't watch it.
Yep.
And
Yeah, I think it annoyed
that's-
me in that
That's
one,
the
too.
thing that bugs me, Matt.
we had a
is,
reviewer throw up.
right?
See?
Who was it?
See?
It was Mike Schmidt when he was watching a press screening.
Oh, my God.
He was at a press screening
wow.
of VHS.
Oh,
And he said, I only saw the first. He said he only saw like the first part, and then he had to go in the bathroom and throw up.
Well, see, and I understand. I can see the selling point, and it's like, and this is how it'll be. It'll be, I just said, why not make it just a monster film without it being the found footage? That's or maybe the reason why is it's one way that was cost effective, perhaps.
Well, yeah, and then that's the thing about those found footage movies. Like VHS, those movies are hit and miss per story.
Right, because
But-
they're anthologies.
Yeah, and some of them are really great, some of them are terrible. But at least you understand why it's a found footage movie. It's called VHS.
Right.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
But there was a movie that you turned me on to, Sean, called Frankenstein's Army.
Oh yeah,
Which is a really good little horror movie. It's found footage, World War II, and this platoon of Russians is going through Germany, and they stumble upon Dr. Frankenstein's workshop.
And with these crazy, grotesque monster creations.
He's made these
killing
creations that are
Nazis.
like a human body and then like a plane engine for a head.
Crazy.
And they come after you, and they're relentless. They are going to find you and kill you.
One's like a mosquito with like a giant drill in the face.
Really creative.
Really cool. You're right.
Did not need to be a found footage at all. And also, it's like, okay, it's World War II.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
How you kept filming, like, how many times are you going to change that magazine? You know, like,
And there wouldn't be any sound.
right, it wouldn't make a sound, and it certainly wouldn't look as good as it does.
Right.
It is still a fun movie, though. It's really
It is.
but you're right. That element
Doesn't need to
yeah,
be
right.
a found footage movie.
But that's a good film.
Yes.
Film gone wrong, Cloverfield.
All right, Chris Mancini, you
Yeah.
are next.
All right.
What do you got?
This final round, is this worth
Yeah.
This will be the
points?
final round. Yes.
Oh, cool.
Because we could actually go on for like 20 hours going over this. But
This is going to be the slowest lightning round you've ever experienced.
I was thinking about a movie from, 1988 called A Nightmare on Elm Street 4.
Well, wait. Okay, there's a bunch.
Which one is that one?
That is The Dream Master.
Yeah, that's
Dream
after Dream
Master.
Warriors.
Okay, because I like the Dream Warriors.
me
Here's
too.
what's interesting
Okay.
about The Dream Master. There is no Dream Master in the film.
Okay, bullshit. I call bullshit then.
Yeah, it's exactly what happened. It was a really interesting marketing campaign because they hung their hat on the marketing of finally somebody waits for Freddy. Like there was a Dream Master that would actually fight Freddy Krueger.
That's
Right.
right.
And
Right.
nowhere in the film.
Right.
Nowhere in the film. And
This is Rennie Harlan, I think, directing, right?
Yeah, so
Are you serious?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Oh my God.
I remember watching this movie. Like, this is an okay Nightmare on Elm Street movie. There's
Yeah,
nothing, but this was nothing like was advertised to me. Like I thought at the time, I thought that is really cool. Like what would Freddy Krueger actually be scared of? Is there some kind of almost like a pre-Sandman?
Oh, yeah.
That would
Like, who's
actually
Freddy's
is in
boss?
charge
Oh,
of
that's
dreams,
great,
that
yeah.
would actually fight Freddy Krueger in the dreams, and then it never materialized. Even after the marketing said, finally someone waits for Fred, and then nope, there's no one there.
Wow.
No one there. And the Dream Master, they still kept it in the title, still not in the movie. And I remember I was talking, I think I was working on a show at the time, and I was talking to one of the other guys, and I mentioned that movie because we were talking about sequels or something, and I said, it was weird. There was never a Dream Master. And he goes, I knew one of the guys that had written it. He goes, the original drafts had a Dream Master. Then they actually
Really?
took it out.
They took it out?
Yeah, and they took it. I
That's
don't
the
know.
name of the title of the movie.
I know. That would be weird. You would think, if it's in the title, you would leave the actual Dream Master in the movies.
You think maybe they were worried that the Dream Master would upstage Freddy Krueger, or
Who knows? I mean, that's what's like really like I'm like reading through the trivia, and there's like no mention of it. I only know that because another crew guy had actually told me that. But it makes sense because you have all this marketing towards this character in this movie that doesn't exist.
It's funny because only until now have I even thought about that title. Seriously. Like, I'd never... And, like, trailers sometimes kind of go through
Yeah.
your brain.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It's Freddy Krueger.
Maybe like they meant it to be like his wife with like hair color. Really Freddy, get over here.
A sharp clawed rolling pin. I love that. Let's make that one.
No, I was trying to.
It's like
to
Andy
think of,
Capp's wife.
No, because
First Andy Cap reference.
oh my God!
You get an
Won't
award,
be
my
the
friend.
last.
All right.
Is it my turn?
Yeah, go ahead, my friend. Go ahead.
All right, this is there's going to be spoilers here. This is from 2007. It's Frank Darabont's adaptation of Stephen King's The Mist, which is a great Stephen King novella,
That's a good one.
which waited
That's
a
a good
long
one.
time to be adapted. And Darabont had amazing track record with Shawshank and The Green Mile and
Yeah.
adapting King. And, the story's about a father and son who sort of get trapped in a supermarket when there's this fog by a local governmental secret, like atomic project. brings in-
Fogco.
Yeah. Well, they're breeding.
Fogco.
They're breeding these like really strange mutant bug creatures that trap all these people in a supermarket. But long story short, the father and son finally escape. And the father has something to live for because he cares passionately about his little boy's welfare.
Yeah.
The end of the short story, they make it out. They drive cautiously. There's still giant bugs around, but there's hope that they can find more survivors. End of the movie, and this is where the spoiler is, the father, and the adaptation is very faithful up to this point, and it's actually really terrific. But for some bizarre reason, Darabont decides to change the ending drastically, and the father decides that there's no hope, and he pulls the car over, and in a matter of seconds, he kills his little boy, and he shoots the other survivors. And it's like, you don't even see it. He cuts to the outside of the car, and there's these gun flashes. And it's like, what the fuck? We just spent 2 hours with this, understandably caring father who seems to, want to survive on, behalf of his son. And now he's just hopeless and decides to massacre his son and the other survivors.
I got to disagree with you there.
I disagree too.
No.
I disagree too.
I think the movie.
Doesn't the DVD also have multiple endings on it?
Does it?
Oh, maybe. But I think that movie is almost good.
Almost good.
I think it's very overacted. It's very histrionic.
Yes.
It's to the
It's
point where
melodramatic
it's so
claptrap.
melodramatic. It gets annoying. But the ending, the bleak, horribly black ending, is genius.
I loved it. I love the ending.
And
I love the ending.
James,
I
just
disagree vehemently,
it's
passionately.
It's the one thing that almost saves the movie.
I agree.
From all the
I totally agree.
From all the histrionics.
I totally agree.
I'm not a fan of the histrionics either, but I bought them because I thought, okay, well, for one thing, it is faithful to the story, and there are histrionics in the story. Darabont had a history of being very, very faithful to the source material. I just saw this as being along those lines. Now, also, this was, I thought, his throwback, as it was King's, to sort of be science fiction movies like bug invasion movies or alien invasion movies. Sure. So if it's a little over the top, I forgave that. What I could not forgive, after spending 2 hours with this father who seems to love his son, and look,
But that, James, that's horror. That's pure horror.
Yeah.
You gotta grant me this. Darabont decides to cut away from the car where you see this gunshot flashes at what must have been an extremely painful decision for this.
But you wanted to see the kid's brains go up against the car?
I wanted to see, I can't remember the actor's name, but I wanted to see him be tortured even for 10 seconds.
But James, you missed the whole point of that. What makes that scene so genius is that after he's done that, he has no more bullets left to shoot himself, and he's just sitting there so distraught. And then he sees the army coming over. He realizes that, oh my God, they've actually kind of got a control now of all the monsters. Everything's going to be okay. Before that, he thought it was the end of the world. That's why he killed his son and all the passengers. So, it's the worst possible ending for this character. Again, if you want darkness and you want horror.
He didn't sell it for me. Not at all.
I thought it was so beautiful.
Can I just say something about that story? Like, the problem with The Mist, first of all, is that the original story is not very good. It is. It's bad.
I love that novella. I've read it 3 times. There is genius in that. There are passages of genius in that.
It's so overly written.
It's among the best shit that King has ever written. I'm telling you.
It's a lot.
I have to say I was curious, so I just looked up on YouTube, and there's a bunch of entries for Mist alternate endings. So, so now it's funny.
Pick your own, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because some of those, you never know if it's like nowadays it could be a fan-made ending. It could be.
There are so many product placements in that original story.
Okay, listen.
It's shocking.
But that's King.
I know, but if you go like, hey, give me a bag of chips. You don't go, get me a bag of Doritos extra ranch, or
but King did that to bring it more into the present.
It's
to make
bullshit.
It's
bullshit. The story is one of the things that I like about The Mist is that I like the movie. The movie. I like the attempt of trying to get something Lovecraftian on the screen.
Yeah,
and that's what it is. It's his homage to Lovecraft. Yeah. Well, it's creatures from another dimension.
And the story too. It's the same.
And the story
creatures.
too,
Cool.
but and then especially when you get outside and you see these giant weird walking things, all that stuff I love.
Yeah.
I hated the characters. I hated their arguments.
I agree.
I thought
the religious woman.
Yeah,
was
the religious
bullshit.
woman. Like that was just. It was just bullshit. Mm-hmm. The one thing I agree with Sean, the one thing that saved it for me was the bleak ending. I was like, I didn't expect that.
So let me just
he killed his kids.
So James, the thing that gets you a horror film gone bad, are you saying that it's this ending that made it go bad? What is it that made it go bad for you?
Look, I can understand why Matt and Sean don't like the histrionics and it's over the top.
They have no feelings. That's why.
True.
I don't think that Darabont sold that moment. Just a moment where the dad realizes he has to kill. It's just a moment. Give me 5 seconds. Missed opportunity.
Okay. No. Just really quickly. In fairness, my friend, who I care for very deeply.
Oh.
I couldn't back you up. I have not seen this. So based on...
Wow.
No, I'm just saying.
That was a
Look,
big
I'm being
build-up
honest.
for I haven't seen it.
No.
Jesus Christ.
But I wanted to ask, you're saying it's a horror film gone bad. These guys like it. Would you recommend this? I know, okay, I kind of know the ending, but that's
because
okay.
we think it's gone bad for different reasons. I think it's gone bad because of the histrionics. You think it's gone bad because of the...
Do you
I
guys
don't think
recommend-
we've ever been this opposite in
Yeah,
our
really.
opinion.
Okay, but do you
Really,
guys...
you're just disagreeing on time code.
So do you guys recommend this to me or not? That's what I'm asking.
I can't.
You can't,
I can't.
guys?
I'd be curious to see what you think, Blair.
Matt? You don't give a shit, do you? Okay, because you know what?
If there's nothing else on, yeah.
Okay, well then I'm gonna jump from something that we don't necessarily agree, but I'm gonna jump to something that I think we do agree. And if you don't agree, so I'm gonna take you back. I'm gonna take you back to 1972, where this director, who's kind of known for doing kind of like some Western stuff, actually brings together a cast of people who are kind of known for Westerns a little bit, and they try to do this horror film based on a book. And the movie is called Night of the Lepus.
Wow.
Night of the Lepus, directed by William F.
Did you say this was
Claxton.
based on a book?
Yes, it's called The Year of the Angry Rabbit
Yeah.
by Russell Brand.
No, it was based on
Jesus.
Watership Down.
No. See, okay, look, Chris, this is what confuses people. You're just shitting us right now. No, it's not.
He's
It is
true.
not.
No, that's correct.
No, it is not.
What he said
It
is
not.
right.
No, Watership Down.
Yeah.
Listen, Watership Down was made into an animated movie,
Starring
which is another.
the voice work of Edward Flange.
Okay, so look, Night of the Lepus. You have this town that's kind of attacked by these giant rabbits, and it's
No other way to put it.
Oh my god! And here's the thing: you can, and we've talked about this on other episodes of Monster Party. It's one of those films that, God, it just.
I have to recommend this.
No.
You have to.
No.
If you haven't seen it, you have to see this.
I will say this.
Just to
Listen.
experience its.
Listen.
Yeah,
It's
you have
wonder.
to watch it with a bowl full of carrots.
No, listen.
Yeah,
To my,
and your face in a bag of pie.
to our listeners, if you go to YouTube and type in a trailer for Night of the Lepus, you're going to see this interesting trailer.
Trailer's pretty good, actually.
Well, and it's like you don't know what is the Lepus. It's the of the Lepus.
You just see,
and
like,
you have
people screaming
and,
and
guys,
shouting.
you've got
Is there more than one Lepus
Stuart.
in
You've
the
got there are many Lepus.
yeah, a lot of them.
There's Stuart
Lepi?
Whitman.
Well,
DeForest Kelly.
two rabbits.
Listen,
you know.
DeForest Kelly, who Star Trek, but also he did a bunch of these westerns.
Janet
you got
Leigh.
Roy Janet Leigh, and it's
Stuart Whitman?
Yeah, and you have this really interesting cast, and the way the preview is, it looks like it's going to be a neat kind of monsters 70s movie, and it's like, and just some of the reactions of these actors who give it their all.
Well, yeah. The one thing about this movie that's interesting is that everything is played very, very straight.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
done very straight. And I have a theory about that because the thing is, the movie comes down to cute bunny rabbits jumping along miniature sets. They're supposed to be giant rabbits.
It doesn't-
And it is laughable.
It is.
But I always thought that if you had that exact movie and replaced the real rabbits on miniatures with, let's say, like Ray Harryhausen style stop motion rabbit monsters, would you like it? Would you take it more seriously?
How about horrifying, mutated, disgusting?
Yeah.
Because we all know what a rabbit looks like and how cute and fuzzy they are.
yeah.
What if you made it horrifying?
Because
it's sweaty.
it hits-
It's matted.
Sweaty.
It's got like funky ears and fangs. And
It hits all the classic 70s
It does.
ecological terror points. So it's not unlike a lot of other movies like Squirm or but like
Frogs.
it's just the bunnies ruin it.
They
So if, like, if-
do.
I mean, Chris, have you seen this
Night.
movie?
No,
You
I've
must-
I've
so
not heard of this film until
so-
this evening.
You got to be kidding. Do you live under a rock? This is like a very famous 70s film that everyone knows. Night of the Lepus.
Larry, he's busy watching good movies. Okay, but let me explain something. So what it is, I mean, it has to be seen to be believed
Yeah, it
because
really is amazing.
I mean, imagine like a bunch of miniature Tycho train set towns, and then just regular rabbits that someone
that's great.
smeared some blood on their mouths.
and the actors reacting to like
And they're good.
And these rabbits are just walking down, walk through town,
And
that's it.
Listen, you're not going to see anything in the trailer because they knew this.
because they knew.
They knew.
The MGM released it. Actually,
They said, "Oh, we can't show the
know,
poster poster.
This movie sounds fantastic.
No,
I mean, as much as we
James,
talked about it,
no.
I've never still seen it, but it sounds amazing.
No, it pisses me
it's
off,
enjoyable
James.
in
It drives
its
me
own
nuts.
I'm gonna check it out.
You think
now.
After
No.
Dark would have released it?
I mean, like in so atrocious that that it's entertaining.
Here's the thing that pisses me off. Okay, how a horror film gone bad.
That's an example of
Sean,
the special
they could have.
effects.
Yes,
Yeah.
and it's one of those things where. And look, I know what they were trying to do, but it's like it's hard to make these cute rabbits into these
course,
horrifying
of
creatures.
course, yeah.
And I think if they were spent a little extra money to make maybe some giant. Creepy
like I said,
rabbit
like
suits
stop
or something,
motion or
and made it
something,
or
yeah.
stop motion, it would have been a much better film, Sean.
Yeah, but they had to pay for Stuart Whitman.
And
Yeah,
DeForest
right,
Kelly and Janet Leigh, and
DeForest Kelly not so much,
No,
but,
Yeah, you know what, Matt? I think maybe I agree with you because the money
And the
did go to
lettuce
the
budget
cast.
alone on that movie.
All right, well, there's my Lepus. The horror film's gone bad. Sean?
All right, I got a more recent one.
All right.
This is one that actually was a big hit, but I just, I was disappointed. 2013, The Purge.
Oh.
I disagree.
Really?
The concept of this movie is that society has gone to the point where there's so much crime and violence that something has to be done. So what it is they allow for one day of the year everybody can go crazy, batshit crazy,
batshit
and do
crazy.
all the killing and maiming and torture and rape they want.
Make that clear. Batshit crazy. Go ahead.
Right. And just in that one day, like for 24 hours. And so you have this, family that has to protect themselves in their house while...
And by the way, the guy, his job is he sells
Ethan Hawke, right.
Yeah, Ethan Hawke.
Security systems.
His security systems to protect everybody from the purge.
right.
And my favorite line in that movie is when they say, "Well, you sell these systems. We're safe, right?" And he goes, "Well, nothing's 100%."
He's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I have no problem with high concept, drive-in exploitation ideas. And the concept is compelling. But the characters do such stupid things in the film. Like the kid lets in a guy in the house that is being terrorized by killers outside. Why does he let him in? But also...
Because he has feelings.
But
the guy is clearly being stalked, and he will die if he's not let in. And this kid is a kid.
It's just idiotic
I
behavior.
ate paste.
That that Sean, that is what kids do.
But even more importantly, though, we're supposed to buy this idea that at the exact time when the purge is over, everybody's going to stop and everybody's fine all the rest of the year.
Because now it's illegal.
Yeah, but
That's
nobody
what
goes
makes it
over.
work.
It's a flimsy concept, though, that should have been better thought out, I think.
they did it in
I-
classic Star Trek,
Plus,
I disagree.
plus the daughter's boyfriend in the movie, you find out, is intending to kill the dad.
Yeah.
So he wants to kill the dad, and he's expecting her to still be his girlfriend.
Maybe not.
It's just
It's a teenager.
It's just
He's fucking everything around that moves.
I like I said, the basic idea is interesting, but it's just got silly to me.
So horror film gone wrong. You think it went wrong in its execution?
It's execution.
Okay.
yeah.
I would say it's a flawed film.
Okay.
I will give it that.
You're giving
In
him
what way,
that.
though?
I will give it that.
Okay.
But considering that, there are certain movies where you go, it's so flawed, now I'm out.
Uh-huh.
To me, the flaws were negligible. Overall, the general concept I loved. I thought they spent a little too much time with the privileged, there's these privileged kids that are
Right.
attacking this guy's house. But I loved the world that they set up. I liked the basic premise. Acting, I thought was great all the way through. Ethan Hawke, I pretty much love in anything he does.
Mm-hmm.
And if it weren't for The Purge, we wouldn't have the sequel,
Was it not-
Purge
I've not
Anarchy,
I have not
which
seen the
is really great.
The sequel wasn't called The Binge.
The Binge.
Oh, sorry,
another one.
Mr. Comedian.
There's another
Mr.
one coming
Comedian.
out. It has another.
Oh yeah, Purge. the
Purge election day
something, I
or
think,
the
yeah.
election. Something.
Telling you.
Has the word election in it. I don't remember
The
exactly.
story that they're building, that you get a little bit more information in Purge Anarchy about what the Purge is really about.
Okay, well, now that's interesting.
And
Okay,
so that's what I
sounds
like. They're building on
It's
this
great satire.
Yeah.
When you look at what the Purge is actually setting up in the film, like
Very timely.
it's commentary, it's satire, and you're right. It's a flawed film for sure. There's definitely
Yes.
some problems with it. I think the best review I read about it was that the Purge has a lot on its mind, but not a lot to say. Like it's one of those things where it's all these great, really cool ideas.
Yes.
And the execution is a little bit flawed, but I agree with you. I really liked the first one. The second one I didn't
I don't
love as
hate
much.
it, but I wish they spent more time developing the idea behind it.
For sure. I think what they tried to do, and if you notice this, they tried to force it to be a horror movie more than it needed to be.
Yeah.
Like, because it was more of like a kind of like a thriller social commentary kind of thing.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
even the way it was shot at the beginning with the kid with that dumb doll.
Yeah,
Like, I'm like,
I mean,
what are
that's
you-
I
what are
didn't.
you
We didn't need
doing?
that at all.
What do you do? We don't need that.
no.
You have a purge. That's all.
Right.
You don't need.
But that's what
It's called
that's what
The
I love
Purge.
about
Yeah.
the sequel is that the sequel is, you know how like we were talking about with Aliens, the next step of Aliens, you wanted the aliens to be on Earth and all that.
Right.
To me, that next Purge movie, Purge Anarchy, is the next logical step, which is
Right.
now you're in the Purge.
Were you in the Purge on the Purge tram on Universal?
No.
Oh yeah, we did that for Universal Halloween Horror Nights. They did a Purge tram.
Is that right?
No way.
What they do is you get on the tram, and then the video comes on. And it's like, hey, we're going to a Purge party. You know, you guys are going to have snacks for the kids and all that stuff. You'll be able to watch the Purge from the safety of our enclosed
That's
bunker.
great.
And then you get to the end, and the girl on the camera goes, "I hope they slaughter every single one of you." And then you
great.
get off the tram, and then the Purge people chase you through the maze.
Oh
Fantastic.
my god.
I love that.
Yeah.
So if you're
I
in a
want
wheelchair, it's probably not as good. Yeah. Okay. So not. No, okay. All right. So we kind of Matt, can you bring us home here? I know you got one. You got
All right.
another one of these
I-
horror films gone bad. Matt. You
I
have a
have-
list of like 100 here.
I'm struggling because there's so
You've got
many.
100.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, you're
But
struggling.
You know what I'm going to do?
Come on, buddy.
I'm going to give you this one because I think this will be controversial. How about that?
Well, I want to agree with you here. Come on, give me something.
This
I
is the
agree
one.
with.
This is the one. The movie that I have a lot of problems with. That I liked a lot of things about it,
Okay.
but overall, it's almost kind of insidious, and it's not the movie Insidious.
Okay.
Is The Conjuring?
The Conjuring.
Conjuring. First of
The
all,
Conjuring.
for
Horror film gone bad,
For
huh?
a number of reasons, I have problems with The Conjuring.
Okay.
First of all, I just am generally, and this could be my thing, but I'm generally annoyed by the fact that it's supposedly based on a true story.
Okay. Give us the nutshell
So
story here.
it follows the adventures of Ed and Lorraine Warren, who are these supernatural investigators, demonologists.
Okay.
Who are
Now-
real? I mean,
who are real
in
people.
the 60s and 70s.
And you even work. You did
have-
a show with their
Well, yeah, I think,
Sean?
nephew or
their
something,
Their nephew, I believe, was
They
John,
have a
John
dog in a
Zaffis.
van.
They have a dog. Yeah, and the dog. Like, the scary part is the dog kind of speaks and loves junk
Snacks.
food.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay, come on.
Yeah, it's really weird. But so they are these supernatural investigators. Now, granted, in real life, Ed and Lorraine Warren were the people who were the champions of the Amityville horror.
Oh,
no,
Yes.
I did not know
Yes,
that.
yeah. And talk about one of the world's most famous frauds is the Amityville horror.
Oh,
Flat out debunked.
really?
Everybody around that whole story knows it's bullshit. And so now we
burst
got
my
this
bubble.
movie, The Conjuring, where it's trying to make these two guys who I think are flim-flam artists heroes.
they do kind of lionize them.
And
in the
it's
film.
so funny because what's crazy is that, like, especially in the very beginning of the movie, you have all these scenes of them, you know, they're so noble. Like, basically, they go to help this family that is being persecuted by the spirit of this witch
Okay.
and who's
And then
possessing
has-
people.
And has a zombie who needs a coin. Right?
Right, yeah, oh, of course. So you have that story set up, and so they go to help the family, and in one scene, the father comes out, and Ed Warren's like fixing the guy's car.
Right.
Like, oh, really? Is that what happened? Like, yeah. And he's washing the dishes, and like, he's just the fucking wonderful Superman.
Yeah.
And that annoys me. There's another scene where Ed and Lorraine are talking about, like, you know, we really just do this for the work. I mean, we could write books. By the way, they wrote a lot of books. So that's already annoying
But
me.
Matt, you're bringing your knowledge of the stuff outside
I am.
the movie.
I am.
'Cause I think the movie's pretty scary. I think
Yeah.
it's pretty effective.
It's scary. There's parts of it that I like.
Oh, yeah,
I
you did say that.
I like the beginning when you see the initial haunts happening to the family.
Right, right.
All that stuff is great. And I kind of get over the fact that it's the Warrens. Even though they say things like, this is one of my favorite things, as they go, so like, have you heard knocking? Sometimes you'll hear 3 knocks. Yeah. Well, you see, the reason why demons do that is they're mocking the Holy Trinity. And like, are you
really?
fucking
That's
kidding me?
That's
so
very specific.
yeah. So there's a demon on the other side of the
What happens
realm.
when they knock 3 times on the ceiling?
Yeah. Well, then Tony, Orlando, and Don show up and make things better, as they always do.
They were great.
Yeah. they tie a yellow ribbon, and then it makes the.
But getting
demons
back
go
to
away.
how this film went wrong, though, is it you didn't like that stuff?
I don't.
early
What?
stuff?
No. What happens is that it's good. It's good. It's good. Then the last act of that movie is the world's shittiest exorcism scene. It goes on and on and on. It's tried. It's like everything that you've ever seen in
Right.
any other movie.
Okay.
A chair flips over a couple
Sure.
times in midair.
Sure.
And there's no third act. And that's my problem with it. The people that
There's a sequel too.
I know, yeah. Well, there was Annabelle, which is kind of a prequel, but then they're
right.
doing the sequel.
Right.
But I know a lot of people like that movie. I just think if you've seen any other movie that has possession stuff in it, why would you like the last act of that movie?
Well, Sean-
Because it's everything you've ever seen before.
Well, Sean, would you disagree or?
I like the movie though. I mean, I guess it was a little indulgent with the possession towards the end, but I still thought it was pretty creepy. I thought, I still enjoyed it though.
And there's also I'm bringing personal stuff to it. I
Yes,
don't want
you
to.
are.
I don't want to
Yeah,
put
I
a
mean-
dime in their pockets. And I thought it was
right.
laughable the way that these even if I didn't know anything about it,
So-
about the Warrens,
Right,
I would
right.
think, are you kidding me with these characters? Really?
So you would rather watch Night of the Lepus again?
I would,
than
yeah.
this? Okay.
Now, I haven't seen this movie, so would you recommend it just for the parts that you liked, or skip it?
I see you're torn.
I am torn because there's some good stuff in there. There really are some creepy, effective moments. If that kind of stuff, if these characters don't bother you in any way the way that they're portrayed, then I would say see it.
Okay.
All right. Well, that's fair. I mean,
How about that? I'm trying to be fair.
No,
on
no, no.
this.
You are, and you know, I see you've got a list. I've got. I mean, we could go on and on and on because I mean, we have so.
All right,
many,
one more round.
No, so there are just so many films that like horror films gone bad, and I brought up one that wasn't really a horror film. You can apply this to science fiction or fantasy, and maybe we'll have to do that another
The
time.
genre in general, yeah.
Yeah.
I have to take my kids to school in 6 hours.
Well, Chris, thanks very much.
Then just
man.
sleep over.
Yeah. No, thanks so much for being with us, though. I mean,
Yeah.
this
No.
was great.
This was awesome. I had so much fun.
Do you have are
I-
you working on anything, or you can tell
I-
us about, or
absolutely.
someone can look for?
We've got the earbuds, the podcasting documentary will be out later this year, and I'm going to launch a graphic novel on Kickstarter.
Hey.
I'm really excited about this.
Can you tell us anything about it, like premise-wise?
I can, absolutely. It's called Long Ago and Far Away. It's not horror, it's fantasy comedy.
Okay.
And I always wondered what would happen, like, the kids go to Narnia and they
Yes.
save the world, and then they
great.
come back. Well, what happens when those kids grow up? This is about a kid who goes to the this world called Elvenwood, saves the land from the evil witch queen, comes back. Now he's 30, runs a comic book store. He's kind of an asshole. And then
So that's what happened to those people.
Yeah. And then he has to go back in the world again to save it again, but now he's just screwing things up because he's a jerk.
I love it. That's great.
So it's
Fantastic.
called Long Ago and Far Away, and it'll be on Kickstarter soon.
And Chris, we also have to talk about Podfest,
Yeah,
Absolutely.
which
Podfest.
happens every year.
Every year, it'll be in September of this year. We're going to be announcing the date soon. It's going to be a really, really fun time, and it's Matt has been in there as a moderator.
That's
for some
right.
Of the panels.
Yes.
Just Matt.
And just
Just me. Just me.
Oh, I see. Because there are four of us
Yes.
that make up Monster Party.
Yeah.
that's true.
you know.
And we can only fit 3 on a panel at a time.
Well, there you go. Oh well.
So you guys decide.
but yeah, you have some of the the greatest
Yeah,
names
we
in
have like
podcasts.
Mark Maron, Aisha Tyler, and Welcome to Night Vale will be there this year. It's
Fantastic.
going to be
Awesome.
really,
Great.
really fun.
So it's
this year.
everything that has to do with podcasts. Everything you ever
Yes.
want to know about doing your podcast.
It's panels, it's live shows, it's parties, it's all sorts of. There's a lab where anybody can come in and podcast. Like we have our program
That's right,
shows.
yeah.
But if you're a new podcaster and you want to just come in and podcast and get like a lot of these other comedians or podcasters on as guests, the lab is open the entire
That's cool.
weekend, and you can come in and podcast whenever you want.
and great panels
Yes.
when it comes to learning about the craft of podcasting. And I always have a great time every time.
It's really, really fun.
Yeah. And we also got to do one more plug for the Comedy Film Nerds Guide to the Movies.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
And, of
That's
course,
like a
the
really cool
Comedy
book.
Film Nerds website.
Yes.
Go check it out. Read the reviews.
Yep.
All our friends
Yep.
are represented there.
And I'll be bugging Matt for more columns and
I'm doing
reviews.
it. You got it. You got it.
And Matt's chapter on horror movies is great in the Comedy Film Nerds Guide to Movies on Amazon, Kindle, wherever you want to get it.
Cool.
Yeah.
You're a pal.
It's great to be here.
Is there anything more about Matt you'd like to say?
Yeah. Actually,
Always makes me laugh.
Good kisser.
Yeah.
All right.
Time for a listener shout out.
Shout out.
Yes.
Our listener for this episode is from across the pond. His name is Scott Weatherly, and he's from Oakthorpe, England.
Scott Weatherly.
Ooh.
Wow,
He's a
England.
It does sound like an English name.
We're international.
Yeah.
Scott Weatherly.
Yes.
He's a creative project manager with a love for comics,
I knew it.
comics, cartoons, and other pop culture fun.
Yeah.
Judging by his tweets, he's a Red Dwarf fan.
I love Red Dwarf.
He's looking forward to hearing us talk about it.
Okay. Well, we'll have to arrange that.
Yeah.
Scott-
Who has heard of Red Dwarf here? Have you?
Of course I have. Don't
Have
look
you
at me
watched
like
it?
that. Look. I've said.
Have
I've
you
heard-
watched it?
Look, I've
Answer
said.
the question.
No, I've said I've heard
Have
of
you
it.
watched Red Dwarf?
I've watched an episode. We're gonna do a thing on what Red Dwarf. I'm sure.
We
All
watched
right.
an episode together at Comic-Con one time, I think, if memory serves.
Yeah, and I fell asleep.
Oh.
Okay.
It's been a while, but I have seen it for sure.
But I'm
right.
sure.
Great.
I'm sure we'll tackle
Okay.
that.
Android with the letter A on his forehead, right?
Yes.
No.
Is there anything? Is there anything?
That's the hologram.
Is it?
Yes.
James, is there anything
Scott,
else?
we
So
love
close.
hearing from listeners from other countries, so we salute you. Thank you very much for your support. Let's also remind listeners that you can find us on Facebook at Monster Party TV, our YouTube channel, also Monster Party TV, and follow us on Twitter at Monster Party HQ. And if you're listening to us on iTunes, please take a moment and write a review. We would love that.
Yeah, write a review. We'd love to. I mean, and who knows? We may throw you in on a shout out.
You never know. You could
never
get
know.
win a hat.
You could win.
Yes,
a
an
hat,
official
right?
Monster Party cap.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Embroidered. 100% polyurethane blend.
No, but see, the funny thing is, you're making it out like it's a cheap hat. It is not.
not.
It is
I'm
not
not
a
saying
cheap,
that.
It is a high end hat.
It is. They are lovely hats.
So I'm
Quality
just saying,
item.
everyone that sees this, everyone wants one. I'm just saying, if
Yes.
you throw, I mean, look, if you have a
guys
bad
have great
review,
you
listen,
guys have great merch. I
Yeah.
mean, there's no question.
we're gonna
about it.
build.
I mean,
We're
you're
gonna
all,
build.
You're
But
all
I'm just
wearing
saying-
shirts. The hats are really cool. I'm
Yeah.
looking at it right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but look, to our listeners, if there's something you disagree with, let us know. I mean, I want to know. We want to know what you think.
Yeah, we want to know like what it is
Yes.
about Larry that bothers you.
No.
Yeah. And if
no,
you particularly
no.
like some of my opinions, you have an opportunity to win a pair of Monster Party slacks. They're very tight, as they should be.
Okay, just for our listeners, we don't have slacks.
I'll make you some.
No, we don't.
We
I'll
have
make it happen.
We have shorts that only fit young Japanese boys.
Oh, I like that.
No. But on that note,
You know that Godzilla movie, the last one, Final Wars. It even had a young Japanese boy in short shorts. And it,
you know?
it was like it's almost like
It had
it's a
everything.
cultural thing. It has to have
Yeah,
one in each
no.
one.
If it ain't broke,
Yeah.
right?
and you know what? That is a topic we're going to discuss on our next Godzilla podcast.
Kevin Kataoka, you know Kevin Kataoka,
Yeah,
right?
uh-huh.
One of the funniest comedians I know, good friend of mine. He used to have this bit where he would on stage would change into shorts, a cap, and then put on a backpack, and then he would go, quick impression, monster! And that would be it.
That's great. We'll have to do that for our Godzilla.
We'll get him to do it.
Yeah,
When we have him on,
yeah,
we'll have him do that, because that'll be good radio.
Well, this has been great.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks for being here.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
And you've been listening to Monster Party, a presentation of the Fangoria Podcast Network. It's produced by Thomas DeFeo and Matt Weinhold, and executive produced by Ken Hanley of Fangoria Entertainment. And for press opportunities, advertising inquiries, and information about Monster Party, contact ken@fangoria.com.
On that note, I am Matt Weinhold.
I'm Shawn Sheridan.
I'm Larry Stroth.
And I'm James Gonis.
Keep America strong!
Beware of horror films that go bad. And stay out of Bulvania.
The thing is about this movie is that it plays everything.
He has a lepus in his throat.
Sean!
Here, drink more.
Yeah.
Medicine, good for you.
Okay, quiet. That lepus.
But
What are you, Bernie Sanders?
Don't timestamp it.
but